Live from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2023 eRacing Association Omega Cup Winter Bowl. And welcome into the ERA pre-race show as we're ready for a $5,000 prize on the line. And of course, happy that all of you are spending your Wednesday evening with us. It is a party in the podium booth, and we're happy to welcome you all up topside. We're alongside of myself, Evan Fasoko, joined by Devin Henry, Jesse Wuji, Kyle Wister in the booth. Guys, thanks all for being here. And Devin, I'll go to you first on this one, because I feel like we're in your backyard, right? Phoenix is a track that you're so familiar with, and for all the history that we've built up over the last couple of years with this ERA and the Omega Cup, we have yet to see a race here at the Jewel in the Desert. So Phoenix on tap tonight should be fun.
I love Phoenix Raceway. Of course, you go back to 1988, the first NASCAR Cup Series race, and Alan Kulwicki broke out the first ever Polish victory lap on this track. Kyle Larson, I guess, advanced on top of that, doing a Polish burnout around the whole track in 2021 after the championship. But a racetrack that was born back in 1964, originally mostly for open wheel racing, and of course also their former old legendary road course, but now it's known for NASCAR stock car racing. You have the infamous dog leg, and being able to cut that. I mean, in real life, it's actually very difficult to control your car over cutting that dog leg and bouncing around. And in the sim, it's also very similar. When you go and hit those bounces, it wants to take the steering wheel out of your hand to completely different sides of the racetrack. There's a lot that goes into being not just competitive, but consistent for 150 laps tonight at Phoenix Raceway.
Well, and Jesse, of course, for those who tune in with us once every couple of months here, and even for the drivers who participate, they know the name of the game. But for those who may be joining us for one of the first times here on Podium, tell us about what's up for stake tonight. I know more than $5,000 on the line for the drivers. We've got some past DRA race winners in the field as well, but every time we do these events, there's newcomers as well.
There's always newcomers, and we're looking forward to it. A really, really exciting race today. All these drivers, they're coming from all parts of the country, sometimes all parts of the world, right? ERA, the cool thing about it is drivers who are coming in, they don't have to be pros, they don't have to be Joes, right? They can be anybody. They can come from all walks of life, and we have all these different drivers coming from all different places coming into one event to go after $5,000. That's $4,000 to win. $4,000. If you win this race, you literally could take it. It's not a IOU. It's not a gift card. It's not product. It's literally $5,000 cash. $4,000 going to the winner. The other $1,000 spread between the rest of the top five. So should be a really exciting event, especially at a track like Phoenix Raceway, where there's a lot of different lines you can run. There's a lot of different grooves. You can really spread it out. You can get very aggressive. It pays to be aggressive here, but we'll see how these drivers control their tempers throughout the race, because some people are going to get a little bit overexcited. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that shapes the way people strategize throughout the race. But for me, honestly, I'm looking forward to this. It's our first time here at Phoenix. It's going to be jumping. It's going to be amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing the action on track today.
Yeah, and sticking with that short track kind of a theme, and Kyle, I'll go to you for this one, and happy to have you a part of the broadcast team for this one. We see quite the mix in these events, from the super speedways to the short tracks, the intermediates, and everything else in between. But we were just at a short track for the Fall Bowl. Now we're here again at Phoenix. It's a mile in length. I know by most standards across the country, a 1 mile racetrack is not a short track, but on the NASCAR calendar, it essentially is. And we're using these NASCAR Cup Series cars for tonight's race. So it's going to be very similar to what we've seen in the likes of the eNASCAR races here on the service. Of course, the Cup Series hosts their championship race here at Phoenix. So this is a car track combo that I think a lot of drivers in the field are familiar with, and some may be comfortable with already.
Definitely. When it comes to short tracks, it's all about driving, right? Super speedways, I like to call it piloting, right? It's a different form, but you actually have to wheel this car in a way where that suspension is loading and unloading, and when you get it on such a fast short track as Phoenix, anything could happen, especially when you get to the point where through that dog leg you can get up to 5 wide, guys just spanning out throughout it. So you got to make sure that your spotters are on point, that you know what's going on completely around you at all times. Aero is actually a thing on this short track too, but really it's all about conserving your tires, making sure that you can last to the end, avoiding all of the mayhem, because as Jesse said, at this point it's $5,000 on the line, and that just takes the level and that much more with it. And you know, we take it seriously whether we're doing it for nothing or not, but when you add money into the game, well, now it's time to really see who's got what.
I think it's easy for us to forget that element sometimes, the fact that we do this so often, but this is one of the biggest payout races on the service this year, and drivers are going to be aggressive in chasing that. Let's talk more about this Phoenix Raceway. As mentioned, the first time it's made it on the ERA calendar, the home of the NASCAR Championship weekend, Evan.
Absolutely love this racetrack. 1 mile in length, and these corners are completely different from one another, from 8 degrees to 11 degrees, and we all know that dog leg is a little bit difficult, and on top of that, it's an old school Western land rush. When you're coming out of the dog leg, got to keep a mindset of where's everyone else on the track to make sure you don't collide before you even enter turn number 1 on a lap.
There's that overhead look. Of course, not that long ago, this racetrack was reversed, right? That back straightaway was where the front stretch was, but this racetrack went over a multi-million-dollar reconfiguration that flipped it to the back stretch to the head start of that dog leg. And we talk about tonight's race specifically, as qualifying draws to a close, we'll line them up and compete tonight over the course of 150 laps. That makes the math easy around this 1 mile over for 150-mile total race distance. If it's necessary, at the end of the night, we will have 3 attempts at a green-white checker overtime finish. There is one faster pair available to all the drivers. That's going to be key when we talk about the chaos, as if damage is unrepairable or enough that would take you out of contention, you can use that quick repair, but then after that, you've got to keep your equipment clean, and everybody is on a custom fixed setup as well. So all of those driver advantages are only going to come from behind the wheel, not who's got the biggest team behind the scenes with them. Well, with qualifying drawing to a close, let's introduce you to some of the drivers in the field. And to kick things off, Devin's down trackside with Brandon Barrier.
And this is our underdog interview. I don't know how much of an underdog after a good run in Martinsville the last time we had our fall bowl here, but first and foremost, congratulations on welcoming your second child into the world earlier in August. Brandon, I'm sure that just makes life so much easier. You have so much time on your hands because you've done it once before, and just everything is smooth sailing. And on a late night like tonight, you're going to get plenty of sleep. That's how that works, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a little guy right here.
And so when is this little guy going to be behind the wheel of his own sim rig as well, or actually racing tonight maybe, right?
I might put him in a seat tonight. Not sure. Probably, I don't know, give him 5-6 years. He'll be ready.
Well, obviously a lot of fun here so far in ERA, and the Omega Cup's coming off that Martinsville race. But so far in your career here, still trying to grab some of that cash money. But what's it kind of meant being able to race with some of the best and the best in the service and also show out a little bit?
Well, it means a lot. Just to be out here with some of these guys. I know, like Vicente and all them, they're fast, like insanely fast. But the goal, I guess, is just going to be another top 15, hopefully get a top 10, and you never know. Try to win.
And you're going to start off this number 53 car in the 26th position for tonight. But what is the goal? To try to get back into that top 15, like you said, or best case scenario, grab some money inside that top 5?
Oh, we're going to shoot for the top 5, but we'll take a top 15 with the field we got. So we're just going to do the best we can and work our way up.
From North Carolina, looking to make it big here in Phoenix, our underdog of the day. Brandon, best of luck to you, and again, congrats on the growing family.
Thank you. Y'all have fun.
Well, that's Brandon Barrier. We'll see how he does as he has to fight through the field here. And we'll continue the pre-race festivities with a man who has found victory lane many a times in these Omega Cup races. Vicente Salas is with us tonight, and trackside with him is Kyle.
Vicente, talk about the fast guy in the group. You've won 3 of these now, right? Or 4? You're the guy to beat, right? So tell me, what is your plan for this? How do you plan on getting out in front of everyone and staying there?
I think we just got to run a consistent race, keep the tires on and keep the tires happy, hopefully hold the clean air, if not just stay inside the top 3, top 5. I feel like last time we won at Charlotte, that's kind of where we hovered around, and then we really capitalized when the chance came to take the lead. So I think it's just going to be about consistency and staying out of the chaos.
Now, what's some advice that you would give for the up-and-comers that are just getting on this and were able to make it into the show and able to compete with guys that are at your caliber?
Bide your time. It's going to be a really long race. lot of stuff is going to happen. And I think really keep an eye on how the track builds. You're going to have rubber building up probably in the third or fourth groove. You're going to have guys hovering around the yellow line, wrapping the apron. So I think it's going to be about dialing in that line, seeing where you need to be, and just going with the flow of the race.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing what you're capable of doing out there. We know it's always good and entertaining. Go out there and give them everything that you got.
Thank you, guys. And real quick, if I could take the chance to thank SRI, all my partners that support me, everybody at Jesse Wuji Motorsports, eRacing Association, all you guys that put on this show. I'm looking forward to hopefully putting on a good showing, and hopefully it's a good watch. So cheers.
That is the man that is starting on pole tonight. No shock there. Multi-time race winner Vicente Salas. Some of the other top talent in the field includes Colin Bowden. Trackside with him is Jesse.
Mr. Bowden, how's it going?
It's going good. Didn't have the best qualifying effort we could have had there, but looking forward to tonight. Try to get a little bit of money here. Hopefully we can stay awake long enough to finish this whole race with a late start here.
It's definitely a late start, especially for the folks who are on the East Coast, which I'm guessing you're on the East Coast. But, I've been told you are the character of the field. I mean, I see you got the mullet thing going on. I mean, you got, sitting there looking all grizzly and everything. So what's your angle? What's your angle? Like, what? Tell us about your personalities that you like to come out with for these different races.
Yeah, first of all, it's been just, the not afraid to say anything. Like, I'll say what the quiet part out loud that nobody else wants to say. We'll deal with whatever repercussions come of it, but hopefully that never really comes. But recently we had like a law and order persona that needs to come about too. Like if I see someone messing up or not something, I feel like now I need to enforce the rules of the road a little bit too. So I mean, it's just kind of like just walking the line that people don't want to walk, I would say, is the main thing. A lot of people don't want to do it, but I enjoy it.
That's good.
You're taking up too much space.
That's absolutely awesome. I mean, every group needs the heroes and needs the villains. It looks like you're kind of in between, right? You're kind of toting it. You're toting the line a little bit, going back and forth, but you're doing, stuff that other people sometimes aren't the most comfortable with. But the cool thing is you got a personality, right? And in racing, I think that's really, really important, is having a personality. We have too many drivers out there who are very stale, who are very boring, who are too straight line, you name it. But it looks like for you like to have fun with it. Where did that come from? Is something that's been with you forever, or do you have past experience? I don't know, maybe playing other sports or anything like that.
I think it's just come from just kind of like what I've grown into, really. Like I was like this in school. I would always act a fool a little bit, and just a group of friends I would hang out with, and in that sense. And then the last couple of years, I've just absolutely run amok, and it's just it is what it is. Like the hair came in, and we just kind of took on a whole new thing, and it's just it's a crazy time. Like it's never a dull moment. I like to have fun. I like to drink a lot of cold beer, and then just when that starts happening, there's no telling what might end up happening.
That is crazy. That is wild. So for someone like you, right? If you ended up winning this event, that's $4,000 coming over to you, right? I mean, it's not a gift card, it's not an IOU. I mean, it's legitimately $4,000. What does that do for someone like you? What would you use it for? How does it help you?
Me, I would put it all in the sports book and probably make like $4,000 bets, parlays, and just hope that one of them hits. Like that's everything I've done in Coke. Anytime I win money in Coke or my contract in Coke, I just put it in the sports book and hope. I always say I'm one bet away from financial security, so that's what I would do. We'd put it there. We're going to New Jersey at the end of January, so I might have to save some for the roulette table there, but it would be 100% put into a gambling fund of some sort, some way.
That is the wildest answer I think I've ever heard. But hey, everybody to each his own, right? You have the different things that you like to have fun with, and that's awesome. And hey, if you end up winning, you might be able to do really whatever you want to do, right? So you might have your own ERA. That's awesome. So what are you looking forward to in today's race, right? I mean, we know we have a tough field out there, right? A lot of great drivers driving. It's a track that's very technical, and you have to be on your P's and Q's throughout. What's something you're looking out for that's going to potentially help you be able to get out there, get in the top 10, 5, maybe even win?
Just the unpredictability of this the car and the state of the game right now. Like with the update we just had with the oval refresh, no one has really a lot of time on what's going on with the track update, so we're all kind of learning that by feel as we go here. And just the car, the car is just real unpredictable in my opinion. And I mean, I've never really taken a liking to this car. I really don't like driving it. So, we get them late race cautions. Do you know how the track is set up? It's just set up for chaos, and just try to get through that if we can. And you got to be there at the end to win. So you got to be in position too. I don't think you're not just going to drive from 5th, 6th, 7th to the front. You got to be the front 1 or 2 cars with the clean air. You can be 3rd or 4th maybe with the chaos that goes on, but you really got to control the race and be up front.
Most definitely. Well, thank you so much for that information. Good luck to you today, and we're looking forward to watching a pretty amazing race.
Thank you.
Well, that is Colin Bowden, who I'm sure we'll see more of later on in today's race. Now we'll bring Andre Castro into the broadcast booth. Andre, thanks for giving us a little bit of time before you guys get underway. You've driven all kinds of stuff in the real world that includes an Xfinity car with Jesse Uji Motorsports, but tonight it's the Cup Cars at Phoenix here with a little bit of money on the line. So what are you looking forward to most? You got a copy with us, Andre? I think he's working on getting the audio issue fixed. That, or he's just so locked in. Big deal tonight with 150 laps on the board and over $5,000 up for grabs. Andre was, I'd say, 8th position in practice earlier tonight, so has speed in the 34 Chevrolet, but did not record a time in the qualifying session. So tentatively on the grid, Andre is scheduled to roll off from the 42nd position. Going to be a little bit of work to do. The good news for him is there's a lot of other big names back there as well who did not get the qualifying efforts they had hoped for. And we'll give it another go. Andre, you got a copy? I don't think it's in the cards for us here tonight. So we'll let him get strapped back into the ride and get ready to go racing tonight in this ERA Winter Bowl. And funny enough, for all the places to hold the Winter Bowl, why not in the desert here in Phoenix? But that'll do it for our pre-race show. We are about set to say, let's go racing. So let's go trackside for opening ceremonies.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was Jared Ashley performing tonight's national anthem. Now we hand things over to former WWE superstar Ted DiBiase Jr. for the command to start engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, sizes, backgrounds, Ted DiBiase Jr. here, former WWE superstar, coming at you tonight, coming in hot. And it is my honor to get this party started tonight. I'm ready to see who's gonna take home the money. So, without further ado, drivers, start your engines!
And with that, let's go trackside and take a look at your eRagaming.gg starting grid. And it is Vicente Salas on pole position tonight, his 26.953 best of them all. And it'll be a fellow eNASCAR competitor in Zach Novak alongside in second. Row number 2, number 3 spot on the grid, going to go to the 29 of Garrett Maines, and the eNASCAR blood continues through much of these top 6, with Colin Keister to his outside in 4th. Malik Gray in the 7 car, going to be inside of row 3 P5, alongside the number 97 Logitech G entry of Matt Busa in 6th. Kwame Scott will roll for the inside of row 4 at 7th on the grid for him tonight, and the 44 of Logan Clampett to the outside in the number 8 position. And back on row number 5, P number 9 to the 9 of Junsa Lim, and Casey Kerwin rounds out the top 10.
Cody Harris will start this race up in P11. Alongside him is that Colin Bowden in the number 39 machine. Michael Sturgill, Paul Prigioli will be kicking off row number 7. Garrett Conrath wraps up the top 15. Julian Martinez-Pastor will start alongside him. The number 1 car tonight is Brad Patton. He's alongside Chase Pierce in row number 9. Alex Jones and Cody Smith wrap up your top 20.
That takes us halfway home, the 21st spot on the grid, where Michael Guest will start alongside P22 Jonathan Smith, and then the 36 of Aaron Ramon and the 8 of Trent Cusack make up 23rd and 24th. Jason Main starts 25th tonight to his outside. We talked to him earlier. It's the 53 car of Brandon Barrier. Julio Villalobos Jr. starts 27th. It is Christopher Heights in 28th position, and a row 15 to the 40 of Keegan Doherty and the 81 of Sid Waters.
Robert McMillan Jr. will start alongside Jason Schilling. Behind them will be Joe Hobbs and John Anderson in row number 17. It's the number 71 car in 35th of Travis Travelin. Alongside him, Cole Larson, the number 20 machine. Then we have Jake Ballman, Tommy Shavers making up P37, 38. Daryl Young, Mike Sturgill wrap up the top 40. Dan Herring, Andre Castro, and then Thomas Merton will make up a full 43-car field like the old school days for the ERA Omega Cup Winter Bowl at Phoenix Raceway.
Stacked to the brim here in the Phoenix Desert. That was a look top to bottom at your eRagaming.gg starting grid. We have set the stage. Now all that remains is to let them go racing. And let's see if we can dial up Andre Castro on the radio. Andre, you got us?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Do you have me?
We've got you. Hey, you guys had a lot of speed earlier tonight in practice, but you'll be starting from the back here for the race. What's the strategy for the 34 car?
Yeah, I basically just hit the wall coming to my second lap, so it like nullified both my laps, which is not great. But the strategy is to try to avoid the wrecks and get back up there. I think it should be relatively easy to get to like top 15, and then from there it'll probably be a bit harder. So just gonna try to stay out of trouble.
Of course, it's a big field as well. There's a quick repair available. Do you think that's going to affect how some drivers approach this race?
Yeah, I think so. Probably guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive, but generally, you know, it gets pretty aggressive in this stuff anyway. So I don't think it's going to benefit anyone to be over aggressive, even though there is a quick repair. But yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, I'll survive, not have to use it, obviously. And if I do have to use it, then it is what it is. But we'll see. Well, we're about to go green, so hopefully I can make it to the field.
Yeah, it's about time for you to get to work, so we'll let you go. We appreciate you chatting, and good luck here.
All right, thank you.
It's Andre Castro, who is a driver with Jesse Wuji Motorsports through the NASCAR Xfinity Series and many other ranks in which he's competed across in his real-world racing career. So that is a quick chat with him. He will start back from 42nd position on the grid. He has got a long way to go amongst your race leaders. So Vicente Salas, Zach Novak make up the front row. Garrett Maines, Colin Keister, Malik Gray. I mean, this really, Jesse, is a who's who of some of the top talent in the iRacing world coming out for this.
Definitely a lot of talent, coming into this race, and which makes it really cool, right? You got people coming from all different kind of places. You got folks who have raced the Coca-Cola Series. You got folks who have never raced. Maybe people who have tried to race the Coca-Cola Series and never made it. Then you got folks who sometimes don't even really have a true chance to even get into any of those leagues, but they're here today for ERA because ERA is open and inclusive, and it's here for all, right? Whether you just got on iRacing or you've been on iRacing for 10 years, it doesn't matter. If you can find a way to qualify into the race and get into the main event, you can compete in these events and you can win money. And we've seen it. We've seen folks who have maybe never been a pro on iRacing, but then they get on here, they win an event or get inside the top 5, they're winning money, and they're just through the world. It's absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to an amazing race. We're about to go green here in a moment.
Base car off at infield is in the hands of your pole sitter, Vicente Salas. Let's go racing at Phoenix. Caution just as your race leaders almost come to the end of lap number 1. There was a near incident through the dog leg. That one, Daryl Young saved. This one, I don't think Cole Larson was able to do, and will slow things down, Devin, early for the first time.
Yeah, everyone getting a little bit rambunctious here and just line up the racetrack, maybe a little bit too heavy coming out of that dog leg in turn number 1. That's going to send the 19 car around to kick off the race. And everybody was looking a little bit feisty there. I think that was Joe Hobbs there, kind of coming up the track a little bit, coming from the inside that dog leg. On board here with Andre Castro. Too many lanes up the racetrack and 1 car around to kick off the race.
Castro did a good job of getting low to avoid that wreck. One other driver got tagged, making it a 2-car incident down there in turns 1 and 2 to bring out this early yellow. And Jesse and Kyle, I'll toss this question to both of you guys. Big money race. A lot of the drivers in this field have been in some big important races in the past, but there's so much buildup right through this week. Qualifying 2 nights ago to get into this, of course, qualifying for it. Is some of this maybe just a little bit of jitters out of the gate? These guys have been ripping and rearing and ready to go, and then they've been sitting on the grid for 10 minutes while we do the pre-race show, and they finally get going, and they're maybe a little bit nervous or too jacked up?
I'm definitely thinking there's a lot of jitters here. I mean, if you think about it, most of these drivers, when they're competing in your typical iRacing events here on the platform, they're jumping into your normal weekly races, and they're doing it, maybe like 15 to 20 folks in one session, and they're racing against. But now you got 40 plus folks here in one session. You are on the big screen. People are watching you around the world. I mean, you're being broadcasted and seen and streamed on iRacing, on Facebook, on YouTube, you name it, Twitch, on all these platforms. A lot of folks are paying attention to you right now. These folks feel like professional drivers tonight, and there's definitely going to be jitters because of that. Everybody, they have to calm down, relax a little bit, because in order to finish first, you must first finish. So if you're going out there getting a little too rowdy early, you might end your day early, and all of a sudden everything you look forward to today is gone. So drivers, calm down, relax, take a deep breath, and remember, in order to finish first, you must first finish. Now, Kyle, I know you've had some race experience as well. You've raced in a lot of different races, different series, and I know you probably felt those jitters too. What would you want to tell these drivers, especially the new ones, especially going into a big race like today?
You can't win the race on lap 1. You have to take care of your car. You have to relax, calm down. It's really hard to do because even the fast guys right now, they have that same feeling going on within them. But here's the thing. Even these fast guys, they started at one point being the new guys. And that's what's great about ERA is that everybody has a chance to move their way up and compete on this big stage in front of everybody. Just remember, it's all about you. Focus in, feel that car, and we're going green again.
Green flag back in the air, and it's a good start for Vicente Salas. He uses the number 1 spot to get the advantage through the dog leg and off to turn number 1. Garrett Maines clear for second as you look off of the back of P1. They're fighting for about third on back. Zach Novak in the bright orange Sunoco car topside gets clear. Midfield battle still going strong as Salas looks to lead the end of lap number 5.
And you can nearly use an unlimited amount of lines when you're in turns 1 and 2. If you want to use the old school Harvick line below the yellow line, you keep moving up. You don't have to be directly behind someone's bumper to have a good line, but in turns 3 and 4, everyone is making a land rush for that inside lane. So on board here, up here with Lim, you can run up here and make good time, but by the time you get down here to turns 3 and 4, you need to try to get back down to the yellow line, make sure that you don't clip the apron first of all, but all the speed is the short way around turns 3 and 4. Get down to that bottom, get back in line, then you can spread your wings, make passes here in the dog lane or in 1 and 2.
It looks like the battle for third ongoing as Novak going to go topside around that 7 of Malik Ray. So Malik going to slide to 4th and we jump back. And how about Matt Busa racing us live from Racing Chicago? And, you know, we see the differences in these sim rigs, Jesse and Kyle, which is a big thing we always point out on these, right? How as an entry-level driver, all you need is a wheel and a pedal set. Now, you don't necessarily need the full motion rig that Matt Busa's got, but it's a ton of fun. We just saw the onboard with Junsa Lim not that long ago. He's got a Formula-style rim, very different than that setup right there for Matt Busa. So there are limitless ways that you can customize your sim rig to your preference, to your budget, and it all doesn't matter once you get on track, though. That's the great equalizer.
Exactly, and a lot of folks like to say, hey, if you spend a lot more money on your rig, it's going to make you faster on the sim, and that's just not necessarily true. I've seen some of the fastest drivers on this sim have the most basic setups humanly possible. I'm talking about G27s, using just a normal seat, strapping it up to their desk, and they're out there just clocking some really good laps. So honestly, it really comes down to the driver. The sim setup does help you give a better feel, right? If you're really trying to simulate real life. For me personally as a driver, and I can say this for a lot of the drivers out there who race professionally, they want that real feel. They want to truly simulate real life. And sometimes when you simulate real life, you're probably not going to be the fastest you could possibly be on the sim, right? But you're trying to get that real life experience so that when you get to real life, get that muscle memory down and you're good to go to start practice, qualify, and race in your life. But some of these folks on here have kind of learned how to game the system in some ways, especially with their settings. So it's very interesting to kind of see everybody's philosophy behind that and how that helps them become faster drivers here on that sim. But Kyle, I mean, I know you know a little bit about that, on how people kind of mess with different settings and help themselves become faster drivers on the sim, which doesn't necessarily make them faster in real life, but at least on the sim, they're really laying down some laps.
Well, what you're talking about is the difference between immersion and setting the fastest lap time possible. And really, for guys like me who didn't have the sims growing up, we run off of different sensations. They call it belt feel, right? So that force that's pushing you in the seat, that's how my brain is wired. So as I get onto the sim, if I'm lacking that, it feels a little numb, right? Oh, we got a caution out.
Looks like it is Garrett Conrath who was around. He was quick to queue up on the radio and apologize. It mentioned the dog leg. It's a part of the racetrack we've referenced a couple times tonight. Let's see what happened to the driver who was in 15th, side by side with Cody Harris, and that's all on his own. That's simply, Devin, that transition from the banking to the flat that got that 9-car loose, it looks like.
And it really is crazy being there in real life at Phoenix Raceway. You'll see when they cross below the yellow line here. Right there, you can see in the real world racetrack that there are divots in the track, in the asphalt, from the under parts of race cars ripping it out throughout the years because of just how low those cars get when they're in that transition. I've talked to a couple of Cup Series drivers who were like, you do not understand the transition until you actually drive it. Onboard here with Pat behind him. And it's a small bump. It looks so minuscule, but it will want to grab the steering wheel out of your hands. And in the real world, I had some drivers tell me it was the first time they ever actually had their helmet hit the back of their seat when they're going around those bumps. And Jesse and Kyle, as you alluded to, some guys will, play with settings on their sim rig. One thing that I do when I come to Phoenix Raceway in the sim is I will adjust my steering so that when I hit that bump, it doesn't try to rip my hands a little bit. I have more control over the wheel.
And that's
Yeah.
force feedback. That's all force feedback when it comes to the steering wheel. But for me personally, I've raced at Phoenix Raceway a couple times now. Once in the Xfinity Series, once in the NASCAR Truck Series. And the first time I raced there, I did not use the dog leg at all. I just stayed up on a track and did that the whole race. The second time, I was like, let me try this dog leg thing. I was like, no biggie. Well, this was during COVID times where we didn't have practice. So my first time ever just sending it into the dog leg, I was in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race for one of my first time ever racing at that track, no practice, and I just go through it thinking it's no big deal because I've done it on iRacing a million times. The first time I hit that bump and had that delta, that change, my helmet literally was like coming up and coming off, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I had to like strap it tighter. I'm like, oh man, this is very, very aggressive. And it was literally jarring me every single time. It was like taking a jump, in a monster truck or something like that. It's just so aggressive, and you see how aggressive it is towards the cars, but it's also like that towards the driver. It will literally jar your vision, get you a little bit blurry every time you make that transition, and it can really screw you up. So you really have to be on your P's and Q's. Your focus has to be perfect, and you got to be ready to encounter whatever is going to happen because your car is changing throughout the race. So as it's changing and then you're going through this aggressive dip, it's going to take a toll on you eventually.
And in the real world, on the setup side of things, you can set up your car to be able to take that dip a little bit smoother, because every time you hit it, it's going to jar the car around, which at times things will break. It was last year we were out there and we actually bent the jack posts. Oh, we've got Vicente Salas is parked in the infield. What's going on with that?
So there was a split decision on pit road where some of the race leaders decided to come down pit road, some did not. Vicente pitted from the lead, and it sounds like he may have a speeding penalty on pit road. So not only was Vicente, who drove through too many pit stalls into the box, is what the official penalty is. They're limited to 2 stalls in and out. He drove through more than that, so he will be sent to the end. Plus, with the hold that he was given, he is now a lap down. So this was already going to be a bit of a breaking news story in terms of there was a split decision on strategy, but he goes from the lead to a lap down. It is going to be a wild show to watch. Seemingly one of, if not the fastest cars in the field, try to dig back from a lap down. You can see him there in the center of your screen. You also get a good look at all of the onboard cameras that we have wired up this afternoon. It's going to be fun watching that Vicente cam, but certainly I don't think what the 10 car was hoping for so early on in this race. Pace cars off it in, still a long way to go. 16 laps going to be behind us with 134 to go. And for the first time tonight, Garrett Maines will bring us to the green alongside Zach Novak to his outside. 12th car in control, green flag back in the air. And that look in the bottom right corner is what I call the best view in sim racing. It's the GoPro feed live for the cockpit of race leader Garrett Maines.
And you got to absolutely love that view. And the one I'm specifically talking about is at the very top of the screen, there's a virtual mirror. And they are 3 wide behind him as he pulls away from the field. No better view in racing as one car sideways. Jason Maines right at the start-finish line. He got sideways, got straightened back up, and back again. They are 3 wide through 1 and 2.
Going to be tricky for everybody, basically back of the top 3 to be able to get a spot in line. That midfield is always where that 2-3 wide action stays and proliferates. It just doesn't break up, and it makes life so much more difficult for the cars in the midfield. We go on board with Vicente Salas here. These spots mean nothing to him, Jesse and Kyle, right? He's making passes. He's almost disappointed, right? He's not gaining spots right now because he's a lap down. What he needs is the next yellow that would give him the lucky dog. So none of this really matters for him. He's currently in that lucky dog spot, but at this point, all he can do is kind of sit around and wait and stay out of trouble.
The biggest thing is just staying patient.
Yeah, don't count this guy out. I'm telling you, he's a lap down right now, but he can move his way through this field and get that lap back and be in contention at the end of it. He just needs to keep it clean.
Staying patient. I mean, that's huge. You really got to stay patient. For him, he's not in a terrible position, right? I mean, obviously it sucks right now, but at least it's early in the race and we're only 20 laps in. So all he needs is a caution, which we know for sure a caution will come. So just stay patient, keep it clean. Don't get caught up in the caution. Once it happens, you get your lap back and then there start working your way up the field. You've got a long race to go. Just stay patient. And he's a pro. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to keep his temper together, and he's going to be able to get through this, and we'll see him eventually work his way back up to the front.
Good on-board look there with Cody Harris, who runs exactly where he started this race. Took the grid at 11th, runs at 11th right now. He's looking at the back bumper of Junsa Lim, Michael Sturgill, Chase Pierce, some of the other names up the road, but this kind of tail end of the top 10 area has been able to single file out. That's pretty good for them as you look off of the back of Lim, and you can see a group of 2 here, a group of 3 there, but the top 10 have been able to get a little bit of space. I think the biggest gaps per position we've seen so far today, you got to jump back to kind of the mid-teens, early 20s till you get some of that side-by-side action as everybody up front for the most part sorted out. But what is not decided, this battle for the lead, Devin, challenging to Garrett Maines is the 2019 eNASCAR champion Zach Novak on the bumper and putting pressure as we go on board with him.
Putting pressure, this is such a vital point in the race because this is the first time that all 43 of these drivers are actually settling in and getting themselves comfortable on this racetrack. And Novak right now putting on all the pressure that he can on Maines. And I love the paint scheme here from Zach Novak with the 1999 Tony Stewart throwback. That is back Stewart's first win and only win at Phoenix Raceway came in this paint scheme. Novak trying to make history repeat itself here in 2023.
Zach's known to run in some cool paint schemes from time to time, and now here's the perspective off of the back bumper of your race leader, Garrett Maines. Obviously, both of these drivers so extremely talented, have made it to the very top level of the eNASCAR ranks here on the surface, but we're only 25 laps in of 150, Jesse. Do you feel like Zach's really pushing here, like he wants to get to the lead, or is he almost toying with Garrett a little bit, putting pressure on him, maybe making the 29 drive a little bit more aggressively this early than he would want to?
You know, just judging by, the surge that he's happening right there on each lap in each corner, looks like he's just toying with him a little bit, trying to just put a little bit of pressure on him and trying to see if he can get Garrett to get a little bit out of his element, right? Obviously, Garrett wants to control this race. And we talked about it earlier, like controlling the race is going to be key, especially if you want to win. So Garrett does not want to give up that lead, because if you give it up, all of a sudden you might put yourself in a bad position. Next thing you know, you're battling with the lead. You're battling with the 4th, 5th, who knows it. So he's really trying to control it, and this pressure is definitely coming on. He looks like he's going to look inside, and they're going to keep it clean going through the corner. Wow, they're this is about to get very interesting very quick. We'll see if anybody gives in at all.
You toyed with them no more, went for a move there, but it was a good defensive maneuver by Garrett Maines to defend the lead. And if these two get fighting side by side, Devin, the aforementioned Malik Gray, sitting right there in 3rd. Behind him, Kwame Scott up a couple of spots to 4th. Logan and Clampett up to 5th. Those drivers who stayed out, of course, gained some spots to get in the top 5 for the first time tonight. So if this battle for the race lead kicks off and it goes on for too long, they might also invite more drivers into the battle, whereas right now it's a 2-horse race.
I think Ray and Scott, they're kind of licking their chops right now, waiting for Maines and Novak to actually get side by side. Hey, how about one of the first winners in Omega Cup history, Michael Sturgill right now? He's in that 10th position, started 13th, so he's able to work his way up the field a little bit. But how about our biggest mover of the race, not far behind? Don't look now, guys, but from 42nd to 15th, Andre Castro is putting on a blistering pace right now.
We talked with him on the grid, Kyle. He didn't seem too worried about the fact that those qualifying laps were disallowed for him, and he said, yeah, top 15 pretty easy, right? But as you get higher up in the running order, those cars you got to pass are going to get faster and faster and faster. He's got a big bulk of those passes done early. That's good. Now he's going to, I think, have to give a little bit more attention to each pass than he's had to until now.
The thing about Castro is his main deal is he's a road course ringer, but he proved at Martinsville last round that he can run an oval as well. He's fast. He's fast out the gate. He can run qualifying laps for 20 laps. Even as the tires start to wear, he's still keeping pace. That's his superpower. And so it's really awesome to see him move up like this. He's one of those guys that if you give him the opportunity to be in contention, he's going to take it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has to show for us,
He's gained 27 spots. That's almost double the next biggest mover, 14 spots gained for Daryl Young, who's gone from 39th to 25th. This battle for the race lead just will not stop. Novak has still been all over the back bumper of Maines. It has not yet affected their gap to third on a back. Malik Ray still 7/10 back, and Zach a little bit more aggressive with the dog leg there, but unable to get underneath that 12 car as it's that Ford of Garrett Maines still leading. Washes wide though in the center of 2. 75 tries to get underneath them, still can't get the spot.
And Novak's really been trying to go towards the inside cutoff turn number 2 there, just starting to catch up to lap traffic here, and we'll see if he just kind of moves aside and he will down the dog leg. But essentially what Maines is banking on here is similar to what you see at Indianapolis Raceway Park. He's using that outside lane in turn 1 and 2 where Novak can get to the quarter panel, but it just doesn't really do much for him because it's not going to pull air off him. It's not going to stop that 12 car. So there's just enough momentum where Maines can hit the lap pedal sooner, go forward, and Novak is kind of stuck there having to either not wash it up the track and not hit that quarter panel next and get out of the gas, or just have to slot back in behind him. By the time you get out of turn 2, you're behind him, and once again, the 12 car has possession of the primary line going into turns 3 and 4 here. So kind of a game of chess right now, and Maines is giving up that inside lane, but to no avail because of that momentum he has. Just being a little bit taller here out of 2.
Saw some smoke in turn 3 and 4 a few laps ago. That was Paul Brigoli who got into it with Sid Waters. Those cars went around, but they were able to clear the racetrack before the race leaders caught up to them. So no yellow flag. We stay green, and thankfully, it does not interrupt this battle for the lead. So we've talked about the mentality for Novak as 1, 2, and 3 shots there to the back bumper to Garrett Maines. Back underneath, trying to make the side-by-side, but it will not stick. So let's flip that conversation, Jesse. Let's talk about Garrett Maines. We think the 75 was really forcing the 12 into an uncomfortable spot. Clearly, he's not afraid of sticking the nose in and try to complete the pass. So if you're the 12 car and you've got this 75 plastered over the bumper, what benefit is there for you to run really hard to hold him off as opposed to just letting him go?
It all depends. It depends on what your strategy is and what your tire wear is feeling. If you feel like you're really starting to truly, destroy that right front or even your rears, right, depending on how you're coming off the corners or how hard you're driving in, you're going to have to look at it and figure it out. Okay, hey, if my tire degradation is happening a little bit faster because I'm trying to hold off the person, it looks like we got a caution again. That's what you're gonna have to base your decisions off of. Right now, he's looking like he's comfortable. It doesn't seem like he's falling off too much. The play continues to happen in the same way, so he's not losing a lot, but he's not gaining a lot. So I think he's good where he's at. Don't let him by. Hold it, control it.
And unfortunately, the yellow is from your race leader, Garrett Maines. It was contact with the lap car, Tommy Shavers. Not necessarily in their way. Shavers running his own race line, but as the race leaders come all the way around to catch him, the leaders just with such a speed advantage get right up to the 3 car as they come at a turn 4, and it was a little bit late for Garrett Maines to adjust and dodge it, and we'll see it as they head into the corner here, Devin. That closing right happened so quick, by the time Maines tried to get out of the way, there was contact that he got sideways.
Yeah, this is actually a good reaction here by Maines, just catching up at such a fast rate. You see the car come off the wall a little bit, and I'm not sure if Maines was even clear in the first place there, which is how fast he was coming up on the lap car. And he really got into the steering wheel there and almost looped it. Luckily he didn't, so he's not going to lose a boatload of spots. I think he's actually going to come out of this still in 3rd, but you hate to see that because you'd rather be in the lead than 3rd. You see the closing rate. Lap car kind of comes off the wall, and I think that might have just been a bit of a reaction there from Maines, and too much input there got the rear end kicked out.
And it's a great piece of driving to lock it up, save it, keep it off of the outside or inside wall there, I should say, after the contact. And what this is going to do is you see all the red on the left-hand side is they're all headed down pit road. So while they do so, we'll take an opportunity to step aside. When we come back, there's more of the ERA Omega Cup Winter Bowl from Phoenix. We're back live from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway as Podium's coverage of the ERA Omega Cup Winter Bowl continues, getting set for another restart. Pit service has mixed things up a couple of times tonight, guys. We saw a split decision a couple of laps ago. This time it is wholesale service, so everybody going to be on fresh tires as we're closing in on 100 laps to go, Devin.
And this is something where this is the same length as the ARCA race here in March, the NASCAR Truck Series Championship in November. So we now have that long green flag run to kind of settle everyone in. You know what your car is now, back on fresh tires. This is your opportunity to jump a little bit further in the order and get yourself back up front.
Happy that you're all with us. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside Devin Henry, Jesse Iwuji, Kyle Wisner, our producer downstairs, Ryan Bauer, as well as 41 laps going to be in the books, and now it's Zach Novak's opportunity to take a crack at the top spot in the field. Green flag back in the air with 109 laps to go at Avondale. Down to the dogleg they all go in the mad dash to turn 1.
It's a mad dash, all right. It's tough to get real estate going into turn number 1. See everyone sliding up the track. Issues for Garrett Conrath. He slides into the wall. A couple of cars got into each other. They're keeping it straight. But boy, more chaos into turn number 1.
No shock there. That's been the trouble point. It's the flatter end of the racetrack compared to here in 3 and 4 as they come across the start-finish line. Then you get right back down into the dogleg. You go on board with Garrett Maines side by side for third. To his right-hand side right there, the 44 of Logan Clampett, who's got the better run that time off of turn number 2. So Clampett clear for that position. And then Maines slides back to 4th. It's probably the lowest we've seen him so far tonight, but still an opportunity to improve as he pushed up that time off of the corner and seemingly struggling down at that end of the racetrack.
Need some beating and banging, laying on some wheels there. The 42 car gets sideways and keeps. He got leaned on going into turn number 1, and that put him in the walls, the rear end kicked out.
Wow. We've seen the Crescent.
Good save, but the problem is he lost some spots. It looks like he gets back in line 16th, so a little bit of work to do. We stay up front, though. Casey Kerwin in a battle right now. To his outside is Kwame Scott. Both of these cars started top 10. 99 machine up top, trying to complete the pass. He's able to get that run off of the corner. And one thing we've been hearing as we go on board with some of these cars is a bit of the shifting. We'll hold that thought. Caution flag flies behind your leaders. There's a spinner in turns 1 and 2. Travis Trevelyan is one of them. Keegan Doherty the other. 2 cars battling in the 20s will trigger this most recent yellow.
And this starts with Doherty actually entering turn number 1. He kind of entered in a little bit of a no man's land. He was kind of on the apron. This always doesn't get you too messed up into turn 1, but he gets sideways and they just collect behind him here. So again, I think a lot of people don't really look into how difficult this racetrack can be, because in the real life Cup Series and in the eNASCAR series, it's almost like slot cars sometimes. But there are so many difficult aspects of this racetrack. Something as simple as entering turn number 1 a little bit too hot, or maybe kind of having this mix. No, it looks like he just might have gotten too hot, a little bit loose. I thought maybe there would have something to do with the change in banking, but that one little mistake turns into a wrecked race car and a few nights not over, but certainly frustrating here as they get collected barreling in.
Well, guys, cautions breed cautions. That's the saying. Why? You stack everybody up, and then you also have cold tires in the mix. So you get out there and you think you've got that grip that you've had that whole entire run beforehand, and you don't. And that's what it looked like to me, is he went to get on the gas and he had a little bit too much wheel into it, and it started to come around. Now, Jesse, you understand the drifting side of things. What would you rank that drift out of 1 to 10?
I don't know if that was a proper drift, right? Because in order to have a proper drift, you got to not only initiate, right, and follow through the corner, but also you got to be able to exit, right? So, I don't think I could give that a great score, but at least he kept it as clean as he could. Unfortunately, obviously, there's other cars on the track, so once you start getting sideways, you might collect some other people.
Couple of drifts there, unintentionally though, unfortunately. And as you know, these drivers try to get into a rhythm, right? We anticipated some of the nerves. We have seen some cars come onto pit road. Colin Bowden pitted this most recent time through. Some drivers in front of him, Sturgill, Balmain, Dougherty, Barrier, some of the other drivers also not involved in the incident towards the rear of the field, deciding to come down and in. And it may be tricky, I would say, Jesse, for some of these drivers to get comfortable until they can get one of those longer green flag runs in, right? The start stop kind of keeps you on edge. It's hard to build a rhythm, and that's something that all these drivers are dealing with. They kind of stretch things out under the yellow, and they almost have to start again from point A every time we get to a restart.
You know, every time you have that restart, it's a mental reset in your mind as well, right? Because your adrenaline rush starts, going back down, but all of a sudden, when you're getting close to going green again, everything starts going up. Your muscle memory starts kicking in. Your brain starts doing a bunch of funky things to get you back in the mode to go racing again. You got to reset your focus and everything. You could have started thinking about other things. You could have been talking to someone. Maybe you have a crew chief, on your headset, whatever it is. It's a reset. It's a mental reset. And sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's for the worse. Sometimes you were really, really locked in and dialed in on the run before, and you were just hitting your line every single time. You were hitting your marks every time. All of a sudden, you do this reset, you come back, and you're a little bit more lackadaisical. You don't even feel like the same driver. I mean, you're going to change personas a bunch of times throughout the race. The drivers who end up doing the best are the ones who can stay consistent the entire time, consistent focus, no matter how many cautions, no matter how many resets, they get back on it, lap one, and they're out there being super consistent with every single lap, staying smart and being patient.
Going to be about a third of the way through this race, and Andre Castro is in the top 10. Andre, you're coming to the green flag, but things seem to be going good so far for you.
Yeah, not too bad. Just made it up into the top 10 up here with the fast guys. So, yeah, anything can happen. Still got 100 laps to go, so just got to keep the car in one piece, and we'll see.
Yeah, 33 spots gained. Good luck on the next 9.
Hey, thank you.
It's Andre Castro, who started back in 42nd. He's going to be back on row number 5 inside of the top 10. Meanwhile, up front, it's a front row of Zach Novak and Malik Ray. Green flag back in the air.
Ripping past the Saguaro. Keep an eye on that pink, white, and black number 7. Malik Ray is really going to put some pressure here on Zach Novak. Someone who is always someone to watch when you have these big money races. Someone who has yet to win here, and he had some room here grabbing onto the left rear quarter panel.
Malik always going to be one of the most aggressive. Now into the door is Zach Novak there. Not once, but twice, leaning on the quarter panel. As to the inside goes Garrett Maines, and we are 3 wide for the race lead at Phoenix. Malik drops out of the middle. It'll make it a 2-car fight. Now Kerwin to the outside. 3 wide for kind of first and a half place there as he gives it up on the exit of turn number 2. And at the end of all of that, Novak holds the lead as Logan Clampett watches the show from P5.
Irwin restarted in the 6th position, bolsters himself up to 4th. Another aggressive fellow here, and boy, has he had himself a great 2023 when it comes to money races. Another guy to be watching right now, but Garrett Maines already looking back to the lead. We saw him get a little bit sideways down the front straight, and now he's door to door here with Novak.
Remember, these two are battling for the race lead when Garrett Maines caught a bit of lap traffic, had a spin that cost him some spots. He's trying to take back what he feels is rightfully his. Big door slam between the 12 and the 75 there. Does Malik Ray take advantage? He gets a nose in underneath. A brief moment of 3 wide again, but they'll come off of turn number 2 side by side.
More than just the lead, what you're watching here is the battle for controlling the race. When you're up front, then you can set the pace. And that pace, you only have to be as fast as the guy that's coming behind you, right? But when you have this wad of cars moving their way up, everybody's trying to get to that point.
And another thing they're racing for right now, not just lead, not just control, but also someone that Michael Guess, he knows a little bit about this. You're racing for $4,000 right now. That's the difference between P1 and then P2 gets $1,000. I'd rather have the $4,000, and Malik Ray still stalking them.
Yeah, math ain't my strong suit, but I agree with you on that one. And Michael Guest opened the year with that big money win at Daytona in the Spring Bowl. What a way it would be for him to close the year with another big money race win with the eRacing Association. We've only seen a handful of drivers get multiple wins in a calendar year here in this Omega Cup. We saw Garrett Maines do it in 2022. We saw Vicente Salas do it back in 2021. Could Michael Guest join that very exclusive list of repeat winners in a single season of this CRA Omega Cup? Kerwin still ahead of him for the time being in fourth, watching the ongoing battle amongst the leaders, in which Novak is able to use the outside to clear for the lead. Lap traffic up the road caused problems not that long ago. Look out.
Close.
Dive to the inside. I mean, poor Tommy Shavers is just trying to stay up and out of the way, Jesse, but that is not a spot he wants them catching him at.
Oh, it was almost deja vu right there. And that's the tough part, especially for lap traffic, but also for the drivers who are up there in the front. Now, people will complain and they'll say, oh, lap traffic needs to get out of the way. No, if you are the person who's going to be lapping another car, it is on you to get around them. You are controlling the race. You are the really, really good driver of that race, a really, really good car of that race. You got the advantage, right? Obviously, you're doing well. You're up in the lead. It's on you to get past that lap traffic. Nobody needs to move out of your way. Get past them and continue on your race.
And that's where you look, you see he moved up to the outside line, but it seems like the fast line right now is the outside. And that momentum that you can keep running through the corner is keeping him there. Now everybody's trying to pass down low, but they can't make the pass happen. So what I'd like to see happen here is when the guys start to make their passes on the outside, set everybody up, put their nose out there, block off that outside line and use that momentum instead.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of strategy when it comes to this track, especially when you're going into 3 right here, right? So you can really pinch someone down there and really slow them up, because the only way to get off this corner and actually have a fast lap, you have to be able to use the entire track. If anybody pinches you and doesn't allow you to get all the way up to the wall, you just hold them down, you can really, truly bog down that motor and really screw up the lap and have them just lose time after time. So there's a lot of strategy in this race where sometimes maybe you're not the better driver, or maybe your car isn't feeling as great as someone else's, but you can pinch them down there, slow them down, bog them down, and use that to be able to keep your momentum on the outside and keep rolling. And this is definitely a track that you can do that a lot at.
Small advantage for Zach Novak at about 2.5 car lengths over Garrett Maines in second. For a few laps there, Malik Ray's open driver radio chatter in the sim sounded like a spotter. He was kind of coaching the 3 wide for the race lead through. He also said it's getting a little bit hot up here for this early on in the race, but Malik enjoying being a part of the battle. Now the lap car going to yield high. Michael Guest is too wide. They dive low in time to avoid that number 27 of Joe Hobbs, who goes a lap down, and that leaves us with 33 cars on the lead lap.
Castro was trying to Jesse Iwuji drift right there going into turn number 1. I don't know how he saved that. He's going to lose, I don't know, maybe 3 spots. I thought that was going to be way worse, but that 34 car still in 11th after that.
Let's just say I've taught him a few things. You know, he's got real world experience, has raced road courses, raced in real life NASCAR Xfinity cars with 700 horsepower plus. And he knows how to wheel a car. He has car control. He understands it. Look at that thing getting sideways, but looking good, that 34 Chevrolet, but still keeping it on track and not really losing that much ground. I mean, they've lost maybe a spot or 2, but wow, look at that. Look at those hands working that wheel, but not going too crazy. Some drivers will overcorrect, get a little bit too wild, won't be smooth with it, and next thing you know, they find themselves head on with that wall. He didn't do that. He kept that thing going straight, kept his eyes in the right place, followed his marks, he knew what to do from learning how to get through that situation like that in the past from his past racing experience. He applied that today, and it worked out for him pretty good.
We've seen some great saves. Jesse, I was not aware that you guys are paying for style points. Are you guys now? I didn't think that was the case.
We might just end up, having some style points. The best spin of the day, the best slide of the day. We'll see.
Yeah, cash prize for the best slide when it's all said and done is John Anderson running to back here. Some sparks coming off of the car that's up the road of him. So not everybody's cars are crystal clean as they were. He's in the inside wall. There goes the bumper. Can the racetrack get cleared in time? This is the tail end of the field. Leaders not on the scene. Race control is going to let the 56 get out of the way.
Wow.
Man, that was a close call. And you saw Anderson. He knew it was coming. He puckered up into the outside wall. He's going to limp his way to pit road. No yellow. We stay green as Novak's race lead continues to grow. Probably the biggest gap we've seen for P1 so far tonight.
And I think that's what's impressed me the most right now, Evan. The fact that once they got out of that melee, Novak is able to build a pretty significant gap up to 0.7 of a second right now. Meanwhile, Mange, Ray, Kerwin, Guest, Clampett, this whole group behind them, still all lined up in a train. I mean, really, even Garrett Maines isn't able to shake Malik Ray. But once Novak was able to set sail, he's moving forward. I'm really curious. I don't know if this is, because we're racing a fixed setup here. Everyone has the exact same race car. I don't know if this is him going harder than everyone else right now. I don't know if he was able to save his tires better, or if this is just a pure skill car track combo coming to him. But it's really, really impressive that he's been able to build up now almost a 3/4 of a second lead on these guys.
No one's been able to build up a gap like that so far tonight. You go back on board with Cody Harris. We last checked in with him in 11th spot. He has since slipped back a little bit, running in 13th at the moment. And you see the sun dipping behind the grandstands in turns 3 and 4. The sun is going to shine in these drivers' eyes on the backstretch here at Phoenix. Not certainly as much as it would, Jesse, in the real world, but that can be a bit of a nuisance for the drivers. I think in the sim, though, it's more so a symptom of showing, listen, we're getting later in the afternoon. That sun's going to dip down. Track temps and atmospheric temps are going to dip, and that's actually going to have an effect on these cars as we race into the evening.
For some reason, when we go out west, a lot of these west tracks, when that sun starts setting, for whatever reason, you cannot see at all. I mean, it gets really, really bad, and you're just struggling to see going into those corners on what's happening in front of you. So the big thing is understanding the track, right? They all have muscle memory. They've all done multiple practices, on their own. They've done practice here for this race, and they have muscle memory on, okay, here's my braking points, this is how I'm turning in, this is how the car is supposed to feel, this is how I'm supposed to come off the corner. So they're using that when they can't see anymore, because when you take away that one sense, right, your eyes, right, you got to rely on everything else. Now, obviously, you're not in the real car, so you're not going to have that seat of your pants type feel, but you still do have that feel through the steering wheel. You understand, okay, I'm at the right points, I'm turning in, everything's going the same way, see what I'm going in. So they're relying on other sensors right now to be able to get through. But that sun is it's dangerous, especially in real life.
Vicente Salas has re-entered the top 10 after he had come down pit road from the #1 spot in this race earlier, was penalized, fell a lap down, got the lucky dog. You can see behind him quite an aggressive battle as Colin Keister and Chase Pierce do battle for 10th and 11th spot, but Gente's been working hard on getting back through the field. He was the first driver in NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series history to win an oval race by leading every single lap. He is somebody who can be super consistent, and I think him and Andre Castro back here towards the tail end of the top 10 are going to be drivers to be in that race lead conversation before we know it. Now, Andre's still trying to bounce back from that setback that he had with that bit of contact. He slipped to 12th, hasn't been able to make up a spot since, but is closing in on Pierce and Keister. That should be a battle any moment.
And Castro plus 30 on the evening so far after starting almost shotgun on the field in 42nd. Another driver who I'm actually really impressed with is the guy who did start shotgun on the field. Thomas Merzik is all the way up from 43rd to 20th. I mean, I know it's not the guys that are talking about in the top 10, top 5 in these battles, but this right here is an impressive drive in a group like this to go from the tail of the field, and right now he's sitting mid-pack about midway through the race.
Well, I think that's impressive for him, too, because you look at the practice speed as an indicator of what they can do on a short run. Andre Castro is a top 10 car in practice, right? That's not what we saw out of Thomas Mrazek. So the 19 car outperforming that single car speed, showing that he has discipline on the long run, which is critical in a 150 lap and 150 mile race like this. On board with Keegan Doherty here back in 38th position. We were talking about the 40 machine earlier, involved in an incident. He's nursing a little bit of rear end damage. You can see the back of that Camaro ain't as necessarily flush as it was once upon a time, but he is staying in this race. And as more drivers have problems and drop out. If he can gain some laps through some timely yellows and some strategy, he can get himself back up and into a competitive position. And now back on the board with Brandon Barrier, the underdog who we spoke with earlier tonight. He's still hanging on to a lead lap spot right now.
Whoa, both hands on the wheel, man. Whoa. Going through the dog leg with one hand.
Look at making it look easy. He needs big. Oh, there you go. Got sideways, 2 hands. Got that one real quick.
It's always interesting seeing these drivers' different styles, right? And look at him. He's just chilling, just on a Sunday drive, really a Wednesday night drive. But every driver has their style, right? And once you get on the sim, you really start learning how to drive these cars. You can do a little bit of one-handing here and there. And sometimes it just comes natural and you're okay. But at the end of the day, when you're racing here, you're fully focused, you're dialed in, you get some hands on this, you feel the car at any given moment.
My style is death grip on the wheel at all times. I cannot settle down in the sim. It gets my heart pumping way too much. Matt Busa looks, I don't think calm's the right word. I think Kyle may be determined, right? I mean, he's locked in a lot of really sharp movements on the wheel as he continues to try to hang on to what is really the tail end of this battle for the leaders. But he's in that motion sim, and you can see it shaking him around. And we've talked about this kind of immersion portion of the sim versus the speed, and how when you race at the top level and at a competitive level, a lot of drivers will take those immersion things out, right? Is it cool to feel your seat move around under you? Sure. Does it make you faster? No. Right? The wheel fighting you, does that make it more immersive? Yes. Does it make you faster? No. So he's really fighting a lot of those elements to keep up with some of these guys who are at their home rigs, which I'm sure are more dialed in for a competitive advantage.
And when you talk about force feedback on the wheel, you look at Busa here, and every little bit, he's feeling those front tires move literally inches, and he's adjusting for each amount. Now, for me, that's a necessity, because that's in a real car, that's what you're feeling. But if you knock that force feedback all the way down, you have less of that, and you're able to run with one hand. But who's to say which one is faster? Because when you don't have as much force feedback, you can't catch those little nuances that could cause you to spin out.
That's why when you see a big slide, Devin, and somebody catch these cars, it makes it that much more impressive, because they can't feel that happening in the seat of their pants. So they're relying on visual cues, right? How the car's rotating and reacting through the corner. Also kind of the audible cues, if they can hear their tires screeching through the turn, because you can't feel it under you. So you have to wait for those other senses and those other indicators before you can even start to think about recovering from a slide.
And I never got to racing in real life either, and I think that's one of the big things that I try to do, try to feel the tires. One way you do that, I turn down the engine sound so I can better hear the tires when they're squealing, when they're screaming at me to stop screwing up in the middle of the corners. Hey, you're killing me over here. So you can kind of get a sense better of those tires, because it's so vital to be able to feel all 4 tires underneath the car and what they're doing. And there's numerous different ways to change that, Kyle, to find your way for the best balance personally to feel the car.
For sure, and every car is different. With these Cup cars, they got independent rear suspension in comparison to like the Xfinity cars that have a 9-inch solid axle rear end. So that means that they're much freer on the rear, and you have to drive them differently. So as you go from car to car, you set your wheelbase a little bit different to be able to make sure that you can hone in on exactly what's going on with that particular car. The thing with these cars, the faster you drive, the more downforce you're going to get on the nose and on the rear spoiler, the more it's going to plant you down. Oh, look at this, Vicente Salas. What did I tell you? I don't count this guy out. He made his lap back, and he's all the way back up to 8th. This is going to be an amazing show to watch him move his way up.
Back up the P8, and there's a big cache of drivers right ahead of him. Clampett, Busa, Guest, Malik Ray, all within 1 second of Vicente. So it is not going to be an easy road to hoe, but those are a lot of positions sitting right in front of him. And you know that your pole sitter is going to want to get to work to catch up to them, because this really has become the biggest battle on track. And it's all for P2 on back. Zach Novak, goodbye. He has checked out to a 1.8 second advantage over the battle that you look at right now. Maines has got P2. Everybody else wants it. Currently trying to fight off Casey Kerwin, as we've got 45 laps on these tires at what has been the longest run of the afternoon so far.
And both Kerwin and Ray have taken times dogging Garrett Maines, and they cannot find a way around this number 12 machine. Kerwin right up on the rear bumper. I don't know if he can just take that spot, though, going into turn number 3. Actually, Maines is really being able to utilize that outside like we saw earlier in 3 and 4, utilize that speed on corner exit coming off the high side. And really, Kerwin or Ray haven't been able to find a way to get to that quarter panel, but this is still a beehive right now from second place all the way back to 8th place. Maybe the best shot that Kerwin's had all day, but we talked about pinching in 3 and 4. That wasn't even pinching, that was Kerwin just trying to utilize momentum through 1 and 2. And when you come up to the door to the guy on the outside of you, there's nowhere else you can go.
Yeah, limited real estate that these drivers can work with, and after being stop start Jesse for so long, now we flip into this green flag red mentality. Devin had made the point earlier, you know, it's a fixed setup for everybody, so is Zach Novak just more aggressive than drivers at these stages? Is it tricky when you've got a bunch of restarts and you're having to push to be aggressive and defend, and then all of a sudden get a 50-lap green flag run and adjust your mentality?
It's definitely tough for sure, because so much has changed and you don't truly know how the car is going to be on these runs. I mean, you go in practice and you get some laps in, but hardly anybody is doing like a 50-lap run to see how the tires are, because no one expects the race to go green that long. I mean, even in real life, you know, we got really, really good drivers, and it's very difficult to have 50-lap, green lap runs. It happens, but it's not something that happens just all the time, right? So, yeah, right now they're kind of in unknown territory. Like, how are these tires going to react? How's my fuel loss going to, like, is it going to make the car feel more loose? Am I going to be tight right now? Have they been overdoing it going into the corner? Some of these drivers are pushing each other, applying that pressure, causing drivers to drive in a little bit deeper than they really want, and all of a sudden that right front's really taking some abuse. Drivers who are maybe slowing down a little bit right now, maybe they're downshifting and an upshifting coming out of the corner. When we watch a few of these webcams, watching some of these drivers doing some shifting, which is quite interesting that they're able to do that without upsetting the car, without over slowing the car, and be able to use that to their advantage to get out of the corner with the best drive possible.
And I think Matt Busa may be using the paddles on his wheel. That's another one of those comfort things that drivers can select. You can go for the paddles, you can have an H pattern, a sequential shifter. You set up your rig no matter what car you're driving on the sim for what you're the most comfortable with. And we've been seeing these drivers shifting throughout this race, and I'll ask our producer Ryan DeBauer to give us one of the looks. I think Vicente, Casey were some of the guys where we could see the shifter, Kyle, and I'll pose this question to you. Kind of walk us through what they do here over the course of a lap with those different shifting points in these cup cars, and we can get one of those live looks.
Well, essentially, as these long runs are going, you're at a point where the lap times are slowing down. So you need to be able to have that torque coming off the corner. So it does two things, actually. One, when you downshift, your RPM is going to go up. You're going to be able to get off that corner a lot harder in order to try to make a pass. But two, using that engine to slow the car down, instead of using that brake, you get better tire wear over time. And Jesse hit the nail on the head a while back when he was talking about patience. Everybody who thinks about getting in a car, you say, oh, just step on the gas and go as fast as you can right out of the gate. But that's not how you win races. How you win races is by being patient. Once you have one of these long green flag runs, if you're taking the time early in the beginning to save your tires, then by the time you get to those, lap 45, lap 50 of a run, all the other cars are just going to start moving backwards because their tires are worn out, and you're actually able to pass them. And it's a heck of a lot easier to pass cars that way than trying to pass cars with fresh rubber and do it purely out of skill.
Well, the digital dash was a great illustrator for us there, Devin, when we took at the live look, because it's not as simple either as you go into 1 and 2, you downshift, you come off, you upshift. You go down into 3 and 4, you downshift, you come off, you upshift. It's not that simple, as Vicente Salas going to make a green flag pit strategy call and to go for the undercut, come down pit road early. Andre Castro is also into pit road. Bit of an overshoot there, though, for Vicente. That's going to cost him some time. So these two are the first in. They're aggressive, and now we'll see everybody respond, but this is a good play to go for the undercut to try to get some track position by the end of the cycle. Also a bit of a risk, though, because they stand a chance of falling a lap down during this cycle.
We're watching right now the battle for second. Malik Ray overtook Kerwin again, which between third and fourth, that's a Benjamin difference there. That's the difference between going home with 250 and 150. But still just not able to find a way around Garrett Maines. So I'm going to throw it here to our pros, Jesse and Kyle, because At this point, Zach Novak has accumulated over a 2.5-second lead. Someone has to do something different. I don't know if Maines has the raw speed on a late race run to get Zach Novak. He's been too dominant in this run. Do you try to utilize pit strategy here, get yourself off sequence if we continue going green, just to throw something different at that 75 Tony Stewart throwback?
I think pit strategy definitely is something that you can use because obviously no one's cashing in, right? You're not going to go make it that difference, especially with the way the tires are right now, especially with how he's been able to control the race and really put that gap on everybody and straight up gap them, as we can see right there in our top right corner. But pit strategy is definitely going to be key. That's the only other thing you can throw at him right now, or just hope for a caution, hope that you don't reset, get it back in line, get everybody,
Speak of which,
there we go. There's a caution, exactly as I said. You're not going to go green the rest of the race. It's just not going to happen. Caution's out.
Certified commentator Jesse Iwuji with a commentator's curse on that one. It immediately happened, and the concern, of course, for the drivers who went for the undercut is that you were going to be a lap down, and there are many drivers stuck a lap down. They're going to be forced to stay out, take a wave by. This is the culprit as we wind it back and take a look at Mike Sturgill coming off of turn number 2 on his own. The 47 car was running on the lead lap, and it looks like the 55 closing in. Is that going to be just a speed difference? It is. I mean, so much faster than him was the 55, and 47 just kind of caught on the railroad tracks, gets hit from behind.
And Sturgill there coming off on corner exit. I don't think that he was as high maybe as Salas was thinking he was going to be as you're coming off of turn number 4, looking off the rear bumper here of Sturgill. Really just a slight bump right there, trying to save it, and gets into the wall there. And that right there is simply a product of the tire difference between the 55 car just trying to make his way through the field and take advantage of whatever the cycle was going to bring him. And the 47 of Mike Sturgill just trying to do what he can to continue his run. Great view from the top side here because you just see the difference on corner exit. Jesse, you know this racing in the real world, the ability to stomp on the throttle on corner exit with freshies is so different than when you're on a long green flag run.
Way different. Once you get those new tires, you feel like Superman. I mean, you're able to go into a corner, especially when you've been on older tires for a while and your body and your muscle memory just gets used to that. All of a sudden you throw on those stickies, you get out there and you literally feel like Superman. You turn in, you're like, oh my gosh, it turns in way better. You start going to the corner, wow, it's gripping way better. Then you get on the throttle, wow, it's not just roasting that right rear. So all these changes, you start feeling better and better, and it starts inspiring confidence, helps you go faster and faster and faster each lap. But other people around you aren't on the same tire strategy. All of a sudden, they're way slower. So now you have to think about it. With having these newer tires, you can get around them easier, right? You can make better moves. So right there was just really the driver with better tires not respecting the rest of the field. He could have done better there. He could have been a little bit more patient. He could have gotten by him. There's things he could have done. It wasn't like he was in traffic. So sometimes you got to make sure you respect the rest of the field and know that they're not on your same tire strategy, that you have better tires right now. You're going to be faster. You got to find your way around. Don't just hit them. And then, be able to get around them and continue on your race. Because you never know. It could cause damage. What if they spin right in front of you and take you out? You don't want that to happen.
And this really does go to show, no matter how fast you are, you can't beat yourself. Every little mistake that you make is going to put you further and further back in the field. And in this particular situation, the best possible outcome was to pit early and then still have a long green flag run after, because as you come out on your fresh tires, you're going to make a ton of time up and be able to catch all those cars that are on old tires. But now that the caution came out, now you're a lap down. So don't beat yourself.
Well, of course, you can get in on the action and join the eRacing Association by signing up now at eragaming.gg/membership. I know this Winter Bowl, kind of a milestone, Jesse. It was 3 years ago, back in December of 2020, where we had the first event of this Omega Cup back at the Nashville Fairgrounds. It was Parker Retzlaff who won that one, and the Omega Cup will continue with your next major event in February of next year.
I'm looking forward to this event. It's going to be really, really good. We got Daytona, which we always start every year with Daytona. Obviously, it's a Super full of races, and we're looking forward to having a really good one. It's a race where anyone can win. It doesn't matter what your skill level is. As long as you make it into the race, anybody can win. If you start 40th or it doesn't matter, anybody has a chance. So make sure you head to our website, go to www.eragaming.gg, sign up to become a member because you have to be a member to compete in our events. Once you're a member, you're entered into any race you want to enter to. You don't have to go pay any separate fees every single event. You just pay your annual or your semi-annual fee, and that's it, and you're entering all the races. So I highly encourage everybody to go to eragaming.gg, sign up now, become a member, compete in our events, and give yourself an opportunity to win $4,000. You can't win unless you're entered.
Who will be the next Daytona winner in the eRacing Association? We've seen Mike Sturgill, Garrett Maines, Michael Guest win this race throughout the years, guys. I think the fun common denominator there, Devin, all three of those drivers in the field here with us tonight.
And it's always fun to see the former winners, the guys maybe trying to come get another payday alongside that. But, I mean, as we've alluded to a couple of times now, only 2 drivers have ever won multiple races here through 12 contests in our Omega Cup so far. So an opportunity for guys to step up and grab that $4,000 payday, or maybe Vicente Salas, or maybe some other guys like Garrett Manger be able to go back and get themselves some more cash.
Hey, well, once you win $4,000 for a single sim race, it's hard to go back to any of the other ones and to feel like you're accomplishing a ton. I think that's why we see so many drivers come back. And we talk about the regulars here and some of the new faces, and that's certainly a point, Kyle. But when you get the same driver showing up over and over, it means that they're having a good time in these races.
I can't express how important it is to pick the right group of guys to run with. You learn from them. If you go to some places and you're running with guys that you develop bad habits, you're going to find yourself not progressing up the ranks. So the cool thing about the eRacing Association is that anybody has a shot to do this, and the more you stick around, the better you get. And you just watch, you observe, you run door to door with these guys, lap after lap, and you're gonna get better. I've seen guys go from literally just getting on the sim, no other experience, and take that and move that into real world experience. And that's what today, that's the how it works today. You start on the sim, you learn everything you can from that, then you get into a real car, and all of a sudden you're blistering fast. I've seen it over and over again. It's just how it works now. So with this series, start with ERA, run with the fast guys, learn everything you can, and the sky's the limit.
We've seen so many drivers make that step from sim to reality, and that includes many of the drivers that are in the field here with us this afternoon. So a shakeup in the running order. Michael Sturgill will take over the race lead. Junsa Lim to second after a big shakeup with wave arounds and pit stops and strategy. Your top 10 has got a whole new look to it as we get set for a restart with 45 laps to go at Phoenix. So the 17 of Sturgill, control car from the front row, green flag back in the air.
Expect drivers to get really, really aggressive here over these last 45 laps. They know what 50 lap tires can do, so now they're going to strategize on that and figure out, okay, hey, what can I do? How hard can I push? They all know now. There's nothing that they don't know about how these tires are going to react. So it's been very interesting to see what everybody does here over the next 45.
Side by side for third, it's going to be as Lim gets passed on the inside by Chase Pierce, highest we've seen the 17 so far tonight. Alex Jones going to try to follow Lim through. As up front, the battle for the race lead is on. Matt Busa to the outside of the racetrack. He's got the speed, and off a 2 for the first time tonight. New race leader, it's Matt Busa to the stop of the scoring pylon.
And Busa, I don't think he even restarted inside the top 5. He blisters his way up to the front of the pack. There are a slew of drivers right now struggling like they're driving on ice on these fresh Goodyear rubbers as the tire temperatures are so low, they're all sliding around. You got to go all the way back to 19th to find Casey Kerwin, who tags the car and gets sideways in turns 1 and 2. Back up the track in the wrong direction for Casey Kerwin. Brutal for the 95 car, who was leading that group of leaders coming off a pit road on that last caution. He had a shot, depending on what the cycle looked like, to get that 95 car up front. and now he's going to have to slide back to the rear of the field.
Wow.
Still got a quick repair, I'm hearing, so if Casey Kerwin needs to get that car quick fixed, he can. But this is desperation, right? These are the top guys, Jesse, who got suckled back through strategy. Casey cannot afford any patience inside of 50 to go. He's splitting them 3 wide, and I don't know if he was trying to get under the 36 there or usher him through, but that's just a really fast car stuck in traffic, unable to kind of take his time given how much time is left in this race.
I really think the situation forced him into it. No other car really forced him. It was just more of kind of the situation, right? You had less than 45 left to go. They all knew what 50-lap tires could do, so they all know how far they can go and how hard they can push. He was carrying a lot of speed going into the corner. He wasn't really out of control, but he was just forced into a bad situation, right? Because of the situation. So honestly, I don't really put a lot of blame on the driver. I mean, he did what he could, what he had right there. It's just part of racing. That's it. I mean, you had to go. And
that's that sun coming into play. We referenced the sun earlier. He did not see that car in front of him at all.
Arthur brakes right there. But yeah. Well, it's tough. That sun was right there blinding. And once again, the simulating real life. This can truly happen. I've had it happen to me before. I've gotten caught up in a wreck because I couldn't see what was happening in front of me because of smoke, the sun, everything. It actually happened at Pocono some years ago. And it was not fun, and that did hurt.
And Jesse, I'll tell you a story, because last year we actually had some Arizona Diamondbacks and Arizona Cardinals do the racing experience here at Phoenix Raceway. And when they're going down the back straightaway with the sun going down, I think we've seen this in the real world too. They're taking a hand off the wheel and they're trying to block the sun with their hand going down the straightaway. And I got to go in a car too, and I knew that the sun was blinding going down the back straightaway, but I never understood until that moment that when I was going, I don't know, maybe something so minuscule like 80 miles an hour or something down the back straightaway maybe, I couldn't see turn 3. I physically could not see the corner coming up on it, and that gave me such an appreciation for what guys in the NASCAR Cup Series have to do on championship weekend as that sun's going down in the back straightaway.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's not fun at all because you have all that sun in your face, right? But this is how you mitigate that, right? You have your helmet and you have different visors, right? So some of these drivers, knowing that they're going into a race like this, will change out their visor and put a more tinted visor on there. When they go into a night race, all of a sudden we'll change it and put a clear visor on there so they have better visibility. So going into a race like this, I would definitely make sure I have my tinted visor on, which will help so that I'm not having to struggle that much. But sometimes it just gets tough no matter what.
And some guys, they like that clear visor because they can see all the imperfections on the racetrack. And one of the ways around that sun is you'll take 200-mile-an-hour tape and just tape up the top of that window. But the lower you go, the less visibility you have, because when you dive into the corner, you're not really looking straight ahead. You're looking up and to the left because you're in that bank corner. And so it's that fine line between covering up that sun that's coming in and also being able to see all the cars coming off the corner.
And how about Matt Busa? If you're in the Chicago area, you're cheering for this guy right now who's racing on location. Has had a good car all night long. Started in P6, but courtesy of the shakeup under the second most recent yellow flag, finds himself in the lead and with an opportunity to walk away with the $4,000 payday as he looks for his first big money win here in the eRacing Association Omega Cup. This time going to be 38 laps to go for Busa and Sturgill. Green flag in the air. It's a great start for the 97.
Everyone scatters down into the dogleg. One car around, Logan Clamp in the dogleg. And he collects a slew of cars along with him. Another top runner midfield caught up in this one.
It's the big
Bowden's in it as well. It is a mess. Michael Guest involved. It's a who's who of former and current eNASCAR talent involved. Well, it goes to show that nobody is immune to the late race chaos, and I think all of this started with Logan clamping up the road, and when he got spun, look out, big hit there for Guest and Bowden, who turned it into about a dozen car pileup.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot going on. I mean, now it's turned into a parking lot, a lot of spinning, a lot of wreckage. It's a wrecking yard now, but it happens. I mean, we know now that we're winding down to the last, less than 40 laps to go. People are going to get aggressive. They're going to push. They're going to hit each other. Tires aren't. They're going to lift each other. Lose grip right there. Lose grip. Boom. In the wall. Into other cars. Taking them all out. All that damage. Bumpers being laid out there. Feelings. Hearts.
Now, how
Feelings
many
hurt, sheet metal hurt, all of the above, Kyle.
How many of those guys have already used their quick repair? And the ones who haven't, well, great. They go back in, they'll get their quick repair and be back out there to do it again. But those who have already used their quick repair, well, now they've got a car. They're limping around the racetrack. And if they're out there, that means that when those leaders are coming to those lap cars, there's going to be a heck of a lot more lap cars that they got to pass towards the end of this race.
And we've already seen, Devin, a couple of close calls with race leaders catching lap traffic. In fact, has led to an incident already tonight. There's going to be more and more of those damaged cars, to Kyle's point, on track over the course of the night that will inadvertently play a factor in this. If it's in the battle for 15th, then they're just mixed back in there. If it's the battle for the lead in terms of them catching up. But I don't know, after that nice long green flag run we had in the middle portion of the race, and we were talking about tire conservation and strategy and pit stops, I don't know if we're going to get a run of that distance inside of these final 35. I think it's going to be a lot of aggression on these restarts, and because of that, we'll probably be getting a couple of these restarts before this thing is said and done.
Yeah, the intensity is too high for the moment that we're in right now. But again, you put $4,000 to win in front of any of these guys. People running in 33rd are going to be trying to get that $4,000 even when there's just a handful of laps to go, right? So that's just kind of what happens when you put money in front of these guys and you're inside the sim just gunning for everything. But how about a name? I don't think we've said this once besides the starting order. In third place right now is Chase Pierce. I don't think that we have mentioned his name a single time tonight, but Jesse, Kyle, you guys mentioned it at the top of the show. It's not just going to be about the speed, it's going to be about the consistency, staying out of wrecks, and that's what Pierce has done. That's what Lim has done. Jason Maines is in the top 5, and Alex Jones has his name in the hat right now. First car on the outside of a pay window right now.
In order to finish first, you must first finish, and they have taken heed to that. That's what you got to do. You never know what's going to happen in the end, right? Everybody's battling it out. People are going to get wrecked. People are going to spin. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to get penalties on pit road. All these kind of things are going to happen. So you just got to stay calm, cool, collected, stay out of the mess, and just stay in it. If in it, you stay strong enough, long enough, you'll get to the end, not only get to the end, but also probably have a decent finish. And we got some people right now in the top 5 who probably wouldn't even thought in this race would even have the opportunity to be there, and now they're there. Now it's time to capitalize on it.
Yeah, one of my favorite stats is how many cars in the top 10 right now actually started there, and it's 5. So half the cars in the top 10 have been up here all night long, half of them haven't. I mean, you've got guys like Jason Maines from 25th, Julio Villalobos Jr. from 27th, even Sturgill and Pierce, 2nd and 3rd. They started 13th and 18th respectively. They're peaking at the right time. Now they have an opportunity to go and execute with a lot of money on the line. Pace car back off and in. Matt Busa, the control car once more. With 33 to go, we're back underway.
Look at him scatter, and Busa sees them all in the rear windshields. They're looking to go 4 wide into 1. Someone's backing way up the track. Couple of cars in the wall. Welcome to turn 1 at Phoenix once again. Everyone straightens it out though, and we're still going green.
They're battling it out.
Lim ended up in the fence, and as this 3 wide continues wrecking behind, it's Harris into the outside wall. He is one of many, and another quick yellow.
Big winner right here on this quickie, guys. Vicente Salas has no patience right now. He was bumping the guys in front of him coming to the green. From P9 to P5 right now. He's the winningest driver in Omega Bowl history. Taking a look at Harris, seeing all the white smoke in front of him. Everyone checking up, and he gets blindsided. Oh, you hate that. That is one of the most jarring moments inside even the sim, when you think you're all clear and bang, someone just drills your door.
Oh, I hate it for him. I hate it for him. But Vicente out there grinding, trying to make things happen. That's awesome. Gotta love Vicente. Everything he's gonna do, not only just on the sim and all the different events that he competes in, but really with the Omega Cup. Always coming back, racing, showing these people what's up, winning races, doing well, and we'll see what happens here at the end. We still got 30-something laps to go. Anything can happen. Somebody could be sitting in 20th right now and all of a sudden find themselves in a position to win the race at the end of this race. You never know what's going to happen. Things are getting crazy. It's getting wild. And I'm super pumped and excited about it.
You know, one of the things I really love about these eRacing Association broadcasts is that grid that came up and we saw all the drivers' faces. In the real world, we've got helmets on and you can't see what the emotion that's going on in our faces. And I watched as all of those guys, they had this stoic, like Busa, just looking over that steering wheel, ready to take on whatever he could take on. And Vicente, at one point when he went a couple of laps down, he was feeling down. You could tell he's frustrated with himself. But before, on this last one, he had a giant smile on his face. He was ready to go to work, and it shows.
There's another live look in with all of the onboard cameras we have at home with all of our competitors here tonight inside of their respective sim rigs. You can see the variants in the different wheels, the monitors, and kind of all those other elements of their setups. There's a little bit of typing going on for mains there in the bottom left. Everybody representing. Casey, of course, flexing on all of them with that eNASCAR World Championship trophy, but there's a lot of talent throughout the field. And to Jesse, your point, to finish first, you first must finish. Admittedly, doesn't really matter what's happened in these first 121 laps. It's a new race. Every time we have a restart, a new opportunity to either gain spots or a new opportunity to make a mistake. You can run 149 laps perfectly clean and perfect and can't win the race. So every single restart, it's essentially a new race where you have to stay mistake-free. It's so late now that I think even if you had a quick fix, you really can't afford a misstep this late in the race.
Exactly. Every single one of those restarts, you got to reset in your mind. When I played football in college, our coaches used to tell us, even if we ended up winning a game or losing a game, every single week it was a restart. We weren't 3-1, for that week. We were 0-0, right? The only goal for that week was to go 1-0 that week. The very next week, we're 0-0 again to start, and by the end of that Saturday, we're going to be 1-0 or 0-1, right? So that's the same type of mentality you got to take into these races, where every single restart, boom, it doesn't matter what happened before then. You are now, from then till the end of the race, like you are starting the beginning of the rest of your life at that moment during that restart. So you have to have that reset. You got to be able to clear everything, let go of whatever happened in the past, good or not, it doesn't matter. It's a reset. You're moving forward. A lot of things can happen, and you got to make it to the end.
So some drivers mentioned picking up some spots, Devin, and you mentioned Vicente Salas. He picked up 4 spots. He's going to be 5th for this restart on the inside of row 3.
And that's someone to watch, that black and red number 55 car, 3rd row inside. Another one to watch. He's been the fastest car tonight, at least when he was up front. He's passing cars right now through the field. Zach Novak will restart in 8th, 4th row outside, but he has to find a way around Keister, Salas, Scott, Sturgill, Pierce, and most importantly, Matt Buza if he wants that $4,000.
Front row's one thing, but watch rows 2, 3, and 4. Let's see how wide they get into the dogleg and who wins that drag race down to turn number 1. Green flag back in the air. Busa clears from row 1. Pierce going to get 2nd, but here's where they spread out through the dogleg down the back straightaway. 3 wide, as looking to make it 3 is Castro, who holds. He'll stay side by side with Novak, Spinner, and a yellow behind. Couple of cars into the outside wall. It's another parking lot.
Aaron Ramon with troubles, and I think that this is just the product of not just money on the line, but also, and again, this is a massive wreck that starts with one driver on the gas a little bit too early, one driver gets a little bit out of shape. We've seen that a few times tonight, where just one little mistake turns into a large incident. Watching the black number 36 machine, you got Kerwin peeking to the inside. He takes that away and goes major Kevin Harvick line. Might have got tagged there in turn number 1, but again, that's so many different drivers with different braking points, different lines, different entries into turn number 1 coming out of that dog leg. And this is something that the pros in the real world are concerned about every time they come to Phoenix, is when you cluster back together going into one and everyone finding the proper real estate in a Western land rush.
Just a little wall touch there, but what a wreck avoidance for the 7 of Malik Ray to stay in this race. And for all these drivers getting down on the yellow line, I'm sure that 36er Ramon was a little bit caught off guard, Kyle, with how low those cars were. He probably wasn't anticipating anybody to be nipping at his heels when he was on the yellow line, but I mean, the 95 was all the way down, like an extra 6 feet below the yellow line. If you're Casey Kerwin, Clampett was trying to do the same. So I'm seeing cars on these restarts lower than we've seen them all night long.
Well, unlike on a super speedway, the yellow line is not an out of bounds when it comes to this short tracks. You can go wherever you like on the racetrack, and you got to keep your head on a swivel. Use those mirrors. Make sure you know everything that's happening around you. Visibility is tight, yes, but between a spotter and between the mirror, you should be able to see everything that's going on around you. And if there's somebody making a charge and a run, then you got to be able to do what you got to do to avoid it.
You can see the drivers pondering, strategizing, stretching, whatever they need to get themselves loose for this next restart. There was no change really amongst your top 5. Boost is still leading. Salas still in 5th. Novak picks up a spot. He'll be 7th. And we talk about all these drivers making the resurgence, Jesse. Well, Andre Castro back into the conversation as well. He will share row number 4 with Zach as he's all the way back up to P8.
It's been crazy to just kind of watch this whole accordion thing going, front to back, losing some spots, gaining some spots, making some mistakes, but also, making some good laps happen. So I'm curious to see how he does for the rest of this race. I mean, Andre's a really, really good driver, not only just in the sim, but in real life as well. He has a lot of experience, and he's going to put that to use. We got 25 to go. Should get very interesting.
You know what I love about Castro? His humility. He is probably one of the fastest road course guys that I've ever seen. And yet when you put him in a car and you talk to him, no matter what lap he turns, he's going to be humble. He's just a really good guy. And so it's really neat to see him where he's at right now.
And he's up there not only with the fastest drivers on this given night, but the fastest drivers in these types of cars on these types of tracks anywhere on the iRacing service. It has an opportunity to be spoiler. I think, Devin, that's something that we've enjoyed so much about these events through the years, is that you get your Clampetts and your Booses and your Novaks, but you get your Sturgills, you get those other names who come in here, go to toe-to-toe and win, right? You kind of check those accolades at the door on the starting grid, and all that comes down to on the racetrack is who's better on this given night, and this series really is that great equalizer.
And it's such a privilege to see the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers come and compete with these guys. But Mike Sturgill won the cash at Daytona, the second race we had here of the Omega Cup. And an opportunity to have yourself in the top 5 take-home money and race door-to-door with some of the best on the service. That means a lot to a lot of different drivers here on iRacing.
Another restart due up, likely to be a sprint for Busa. He wants to get out in front of the chaos. Green flag flies. It's a better start this time for Pierce topside, but Busa still able to clear for the race lead. Kwame Scott going to go way to the inside. He'll get inside of Pierce for second. There'll be 3 wide for third behind him.
Check them out coming out turn number 2 here. Salas is going to fight for third as Pierce floated up the track coming out of the corner. That let Kwame Scott take over P2. They're 2 by 2. Second through fourth issues for Keister as he floats up the racetrack in his top 3 wide.
Keister tried to go 3 wide to put a bumper to the back end of Pierce, but couldn't open the door, then missed the turn 3 entry. That costs him 3 spots. Keister sliding all the way down as he finds himself back in 7th all of a sudden. Busa still leads. Kwame Scott, though, through to P2. Vicente Salas to the inside for third as he battles with Pierce, but he wants the 2 for 1. Clear of the 17 outside, now to the inside of Scott for second.
Don't look now, but Mr. Kachow himself, Casey Kerwin, has slid his way into the 6th position, and that's going to allow him an opportunity to get right up on the rear bumper of Zach Novak. But I think the driver in the catbird seat is Salas as the caution comes out with 21 to go.
Couple of cars around in turn 2. Julio Villalobos Jr. is one of them. Cody Smith is the other. That is tough for 2 cars who started this race in the 20s, had spent all night working their way up front, and you see how it started there. Just a bit of a wiggle for the 78 car, and Cody Smith was in the tire tracks with nowhere to go. It goes back, Jesse, to what me and you just talked about 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter what happens in the opening 120. All that matters is the new race, and all the hard work for these 2 all night long battling through the field is gone just like that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but that is racing. It happens. I mean, they're all out there battling. We're all after $4,000 for that first place, and then the rest of 1,000 left over is going to the rest of the top five. It's tough. Everyone's battling for the same thing. People want recognition. I mean, babies cry for it. Grown men die for it, right? Everybody wants that recognition. Somebody wants to win the day. Everybody wants to win the day, but only one will. You have to stay to the end of the race. You cannot get knocked out. You got to be smart. You can't get over aggressive. You can't get overzealous. You got to be patient. You got to be smart. You got to focus. Stay in there. We only got 19 to go. Just everybody stay cool, stay calm, cool, and collected, and you'll make it to the end, and hopefully you'll win the race.
Inside of 20 laps to go, we'll take another opportunity to step away, and when we come back, $5,000 on the line. Matt Busa, your race leader at Phoenix. Well, back live at iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway as Podium's coverage of the eRacing Association Omega Cup Winter Bowl continues as we are inside of 20 laps to go. Want to remind you to sign up today if you want to participate in the next race on the Omega Cup calendar. It's going to be coming up on the other side of the New Year break in February back at Daytona International Speedway. For more information, you can go to eragaming.gg and find yourself on track at one of these big money races. Again, that's February 19th for the qualifiers and 21st for the main, right here on Podium at the Daytona International Speedway. Lights off of the pace car, though, with a restart coming up for 16 laps to go. Get Matt Busa hang on for victory. Green flag back in the air.
Salas, he crosses over on the restart, gets to the inside, and Matt Busa looking for P1 up the track and bangs his door.
3 wide behind. That's going to be
it's getting wild.
Spot on back, but the 97 of Busa topside. The 55 of Salas on the inside, battling side by side for the lead. There's a caution. Who was in front at the moment of yellow? I think Busa will maintain the lead as a crash behind the field will slow things down. What a slim margin. Vicente Salas so close to snatching the lead.
What a battle. What a battle. It's always great. It's always great watching Vicente out there doing his thing. I mean, such a great driver here on the sim, and also, looking to, get more racing in real life going. And he's showing what he's got right here. He's showing that, hey, he's capable of getting up front, driving against the best, competing against them, being clean. It's really cool to watch.
But with that said, he just showed his hand. He did an amazing pass, but in the end, it didn't work out for him. You know for a fact that Busa is not going to let that happen again.
Busa's going
And
to
as
take this
these
restart
two-
down to the wall.
Yeah, as these two discuss, at first I thought, Salas had gotten to P2. He was going to catch in. The yellow came out. At first I thought that was bad news for Busa because Salas was going to get the restart on the bumper. But for Busa, these short stints, guys, has actually been good for him, assuming he can get the initial jump, right? Because then the onus now going to be on the 55 to get the pass on him, which he's not been able to do. Every time we get a yellow, if you're Busa, that's 4 laps of time, Jesse, that Vicente can't pass me. I mean, the yellows now, I think, are good for the 97 car, because every time we spend under yellow, it's more and more opportunities taken away from Vicente Salas. He can't do anything.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's once again, strategy is going to come into play. Now you're having to change it up every single time. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that's why we race, right? So many different things can happen throughout the race every single lap. We might go green for the rest of this race. We might be cautioned out for the rest of the race. We might even have an overtime situation. You never know. So everything's going to continue to change. He just has to stay on it, continue to control it. Now you have to truly control that front part of the field. You can't give up any ground. You can't lay off. You can't let people by. You got to get aggressive, and you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Well, I think the other half of this too is the way that the restart order is dictated, Kyle, on the iRacing service is that it is whoever is in front at the moment of yellow. There's no scoring loops. It's not who led the last lap. It's you get a nose in front for a moment. If the yellow comes out, then the lead is yours. So for Vicente, the onus isn't necessarily on clearing Matt Busa here. It's just getting side by side with him and getting a nose in front. If we get then another quick yellow like we assume we will, that would then give him the control car position. So that might make his challenge a little bit easier.
Exactly. And when it comes down to these final deals, there's bound to be a caution coming. So every second counts. There's no waiting for the next corner or trying to set up a pass. At this point, it's just go. If you can get that little nose out there in front of the guys, well, there you go. You got that position when that caution comes out. That sets you up for being on the inside row to be able to come back to the green.
So it'll be Busa on the inside, Vicente topside, Devin. I'll just put you on the spot, man. Who you like it in this scenario?
Well, if you're going to put me on the spot, I guess I'm just going to have to settle with the all-time leading winner in ERA Omega Cup full history. And I guess I'll go with Vicente Salas.
That's a bold pick.
It's a bold pick. He's only won like $12,000 or something racing here plus. So, it's a tough one to pick. But this is someone who, yeah, he showed his hand. Does he have something else, though? Booz is going to be very defensive, I think, here on this restart. He will block the 55 all the way down to that pit wall as low as he needs to go. Will that give Salas an opportunity to get to his right rear quarter panel going into 1 and 2? There's still opportunity for the 55.
Kwame Scott, Chase Pierce also in the fight. They watch on from row number 2. Green flag flies. It's a good jump for Matt Busa. He is well clear down to the dog leg as Salas slices to the inside to shut the door on Pierce. First and second single file, side by side for third.
He led a lot of this race now trying to make his way back up as the blue 12 car of Garrett Maines. He's trying to battle right now with Casey Kerwin, get himself back up front. Still has to get around Scott and Pierce though in order to reach this battle. Busa and Salas up front.
You're looking off to the back of the race leader, Busa. Here goes Salas looking to the inside, but again, the caution beats the 55 to it. And Busa leader at the moment of yellow as we will slow things down again. Zach Novak back and first into the outside wall. What a fall from grace for Zach Novak, who was primed as the race leader in this race to try to race for the $4,000 top prize. Got cycled through on strategy. And
Wow,
right
that
there,
hurt.
some assistance courtesy of Logan to clamp it into the outside wall. He does have a quick repair, but in terms of fighting for the race win, that'll do it for the 75.
That looked like you're hurt. That looked like
That's why I don't race in VR.
Oh, man, that was
The sim, Jesse, the only thing you can get is a headache from that one. That's where you like it being the sim. That's a $0 accident right there.
Oh yeah, we're just watching it in slow motion right now, by the way, fans. So anybody who's watching this, that was just in slow motion. You're watching it in fast motion. I mean, that was that one looked like it hurt.
If that was Boosa's rig with the motion rig, he might have got tossed straight out of it. I think Zach's happy that he doesn't have one of those butt kickers or something under him, shaking him around. Tough break for Novak, who led 66 laps on the night. That will go on to be the most laps led out of anybody in this race. Boom, huge hit to end his night. And that is the duality of racing, is for all those big moments in Zach's career, no matter how accomplished you could be, Kyle, at any discipline, there's always going to be the one that got away, and tonight may be that for Zach Novak.
Well, so does he have his fast repair still, or no? Is he completely done? Is
yes,
he out?
He has it, but he towed. I think that basically what that's saying is all that matters is the top 5, 6 and back don't matter. So he towed, so that's going to put him multiple laps down.
There is no way for him to make up that time. Oh man, he was doing so well with what was going on there. And now, oh well, yes, we do have 3 green-white checkers to think about here too. So if he's a lap down, he could get his lap back. How many cars are on the lead lap? 25. And well, you never know. You might have another big one too. It takes out half the field.
Yeah, the way this thing's been going, we might need to take that Daytona and Talladega mentality, in which if you're on the lead lap, you've got a shot, right? It's not over till it's over. For the leaders, of course, they just want to continue to get out in front and stay ahead of the chaos. But that was the second consecutive time, Devin, where Vicente Salas got side by side with Busa, and the yellow came out when the 97's nose was in front. So that is just 2 breaks of tough luck for Salas, and again, goes to show you how beneficial the 97 has of being that control car on these restarts, getting the gap, as it's going to take Vicente at least a lap or 2 to kind of set up that spot, and the yellows have come by that point. So he's really doing everything he needs to do on these restarts to take full advantage of being in the top position, and the timing of these last 2 yellows have certainly helped him.
That last round, what Busa did to get that jump off the line made all the difference, because a couple of corners down the way, Salas wasn't able to get his nose past him. So watch on this next restart how precise they're going to try to be able to keep up with each other. And then with that, you got to think about what's going to happen if they get a little bit too aggressive. If they're in the front of the field, you have all of these cars behind them that could get collected up in it. But I see they're putting heat in the tires now, so that means that they should be able to have some grip when they're starting this race. So when they go into turn 1, they've got everything that they can use to be able to make a pass.
Lights back out on top of the pace car. They'll line up in a very similar fashion. Busa, Salas inside and out of row number 1. Kwame Scott, Chase Pierce on row 2. Casey Kerwin, Garrett Maines on row 3. Colin DeKeister and Andre Castro still in this. They're back on row 4. Malik Ray and Logan DeClampett on row number 5. Those are your names inside of the top 10. But 25 cars still on the lead lap in this race. Coming to 5 laps to go from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway. Busa, the nose in front as they roll to the restart zone. Green flag in the air. It's one of his best restarts yet. Here comes Scott to the inside of Salas. The fight's going to be for second to turn 1.
Flawless restarts. Everyone flanks into turn number 1. They're 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Salas all the way on the outside, and Garrett Maines is losing some stage, who's trying to shove Kwame Scott through the middle.
Rubbing is racing, and it's happening right now, right in front of us. We got 5 laps to go. Everybody's bumping. They're grinding. They're trying to get this win. This is absolutely incredible. Look at the skill and the talent of these drivers getting so close with no issues.
And Busa is loving.
He's going to get so sideways. Oh, no. The number 12. In the wall.
Maines to the outside wall, led 23 laps tonight. Kyle, that is the second straight wreck that has involved one of the fastest cars of the race.
I tell you, the highs and lows of motorsports. Busa was loving the fact that everybody behind him was battling each other, and that means he was being able to step away. And then look, you have something like this happen, stack them back up, rack them back up. It's time to do it all over again. We're going into overtime.
Yeah, I think Garrett here was just laying it all on the line.
Yeah, look at, I mean, he's got nowhere to go, Devin. He can't really control his entry, so he's just kind of working with the space given. He got loose on his own, but I think that's a product of, that's not his line, and he's just kind of following the movement of the water around him, and it's not the entry he wanted. Carr got a little bit upset, and he lost it.
And there was nothing more incredible than seeing that GoPro video of him working that steering wheel, trying to save it while he's on that giant rig of his. And yeah, that's a big lick there. And again, not only is that the second consecutive wreck with one of the fastest cars in the race, but is that the third consecutive wreck that's top 15, top 10? This isn't just guys wrecking for 30th. These are guys trying to make their way into a top 5 money-paying position to take home some cold hard cash after this. These are guys trying to fight for some actual physical money. We saw in that restart, what was that, 2nd through 7th, 2nd through 8th? Half of those guys are in a money spot, the other half are not. The half that are not are going to fight in every which way they can to put themselves in position to bring home some Benjamins tonight.
You can tell that they want it. Everybody trying to get into those points and cash paying positions up at the front of the field, but you're exactly right. It is not the cars in the 20s, which is often a gripe of the leaders causing the issues. It is the best of the best, which goes to show you, Jesse, something you commented on earlier was that it was the circumstances. I believe it was a spin for Kerwin that caused him to spin out when he got sucked back in traffic. You mentioned it was the circumstances that had the 95 driving like that. You can have these, incredibly talented drivers, but you put them in this scenario, in this circumstance where there's a lot of money on the line, and they're going to drive just as hard and just as crazy as anybody else on the surface would. At the end of the day, they're all race car drivers, no matter how much experience you've got or not, and these top guys are giving it everything.
They're definitely racing drivers for sure. And imagine, you got Christmas right around the corner. Imagine having $4,000 of extra cash that you didn't even expect, all because you were sitting at home in your sim playing, what people like to call a video game, even though it's not. We all know it's not a video game. It's a simulator. It simulates real life, but you're sitting at home in the comfort of your home. You got AC on, or you have the heater on. You got your family there. You're just chilling, relaxing. Maybe you're going to work tomorrow, but then all of a sudden you get $4,000 for winning a tournament virtually. That could make the rest of your year. Maybe that makes your life. Who knows? But it's just a unique opportunity that you don't see any other places, and you see it right here with eRacing Association. It's a mega cup tournaments that we put on 4 times a year, and it's just absolutely incredible to just kind of see the happiness that this brings to drivers, sim drivers, finally getting a chance to feel like a pro. You're on a broadcast, professional broadcast team, commentators, amazing commentators, and you're winning cash. Where else can you do this? There's not a lot of opportunities to do it, but you get to do it right here with the eRacing Association.
Yeah, this race is one of the brightest spotlights in all of the events that have taken place on the sim through 2023. There is a live look in at your top 3 cars. Matt Busa is your leader. He's on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Vicente Salas is going to be to his outside on the front row. He's on the bottom. And Casey Kerwin on the inside of row number 2 has got a bit of a smirk. I think he likes his positioning for this one. He is lined up behind the 97. That's his camera in the top left. For the first time, we head to overtime, attempt number 1 of as many as 3 attempts at a green-white checker overtime finish. They need the white for this one to be official. Green flag in the air for Busa. He gets the jump again.
They're getting the battle.
Kerwin, they're wrecking behind.
Whoa.
And race control does throw the yellow.
Wow. Wow. Well, everybody is trying to get this right now. They don't care where they're at, whether they're 20th, 10th, 1st, it doesn't matter. Everyone's battling. Everybody has something to prove here.
And I hear over the driver radio chatter just listening in that Logan Clampett missed a shift. And that was the issue there for the 44 car. We talk about how the pros are just like anybody else on the service. I've done that. Can't say that anybody's immune to it, and you'll see on the replay here, Kyle, Logan just doesn't go anywhere. We talked about the shifting, obviously being quick on the gears on the restarts is important. The fact that he missed the shift would tell me he's probably not using the paddles. It's a little bit harder to miss that than on an H pattern or a sequential, but some sort of an issue means that Logan Clampett missed the gear, and we'll go on board with Brad Patton here. There's nothing this car can do when the 44 doesn't launch.
It's kind of interesting because, I mean, these cars are all sequential gearboxes, and most of the shifters out there allow you to switch to a sequential mode. If you're not using the paddle shifts, if you're using the H pattern, you can actually put it in a sequential mode and be able to shift. Now, there's probably some out there that don't allow you to do that, but most of these guys, especially I would say these iRacing pros, usually have one that they can shift to sequential. So if he missed a shift, I'm curious to know how that happened. Hopefully he didn't push the shifter forward. That does happen to some people. You never know. But man, that's unfortunate. It happens though. It happens to the best of the best. People make mistakes. Doesn't matter how much experience you have. It happens. I mean, we've seen real life NASCAR Cup Series drivers shift up and downshift on accident versus upshifting. So it happens.
I can't express how hard it is to be consistent. I mean, it's tough enough just to be one car on that racetrack going around and holding a line at speed. But imagine all the little intricate things that you have to do over and over and over again and be on point, because one mistake and you're out of the race. When you watch these guys going 3 wide, just imagine how much nuance you have to have on that wheel, on that pedal. When you're coming to a green flag and you're having to shift up into gear at just the right RPM. And that's the amazing thing about this, is it trains you to be a better driver. And when you get kids into this stuff at a young age, they're going to be that much better once they get older. And in the real world, when they get into a real life car, whether that be a race car or a street car, and the more car control you have, the more you get that habit down, the less likely that you're going to have an incident on the street where you can get hurt, So there's a safety aspect to all of this as well. It's an amazing training tool.
And like I feel a little attacked here, but I just wanted to say that there is a chance. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I know that some people sometimes can miss a shift with the paddle shifter. I'm not going to state who that might be, that I might personally know or might have done it myself, but it's just 100% possible. So I'm just putting that out there. It's happened before. I happen to know so.
And it'll happen again. It's always going to be a part of racing at all levels. And Kyle, to your point, I'm somebody who's never going to step near a race car in the real world. But having grown up on the sim, was put in a defensive driving class when I was getting my driver's ed, and they put us on a skid pad and basically had to go 60 miles an hour, turn into the water and recover the car. And I had no idea consciously what I was doing to correct that car. It was just the exposure on the sim to catch it. So there are some of those real world tie-ins with car control and discipline that can extend beyond just inside of a race car context itself, and I think that's a good example of some of that as well. So Clamp It, with that incident, drops out of this. It'll be advance to green-white checker, attempt number 2 of 3. If we don't get all the way to the white flag, it's not official. We'll line them up one final time. Busa, Salas on the front row. Casey Kerwin, Kwame Scott going to watch on from a 3rd and 4th position. Green flag in the air. It's another good start for Busa. Here comes Kerwin for P2.
Malik Ray was holding back a little bit going to green. He tried to peek to the inside and get there. Kerwin puts the bumper on, moves up and gets out of shape.
Put the bumper to him, but it costs him some speed. Salas to second, Spinner behind. Caution is out again, and we will go to a 3rd and final restart attempt. Joe Hobbs, I believe, is the culprit of this one. The 27 machine is missing some bodywork on the front of that Chevy Camaro. It looked a whole lot cleaner last time I saw it. Let's see what happened to the 27.
And this might be the first time that we have an incident recently where it's not something inside the top 10 trying to gun for one of those top 5 money spots. I'm bored with Hobbs. I wonder if this happens a little bit ahead of him. No, it comes from behind. He was
barreling it.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, we're not lifting for 3rd. We're not lifting for 24th.
Nope.
I mean, they are going, and you can see there Hobbs off pace there. Just kind of not seeing the 40 of Keegan Doherty, who was much faster than him, coming up the inside, and Hobbs kind of turned down from the 27's perspective. Feels like he just got run over. That outside look kind of gave us a better perspective that the 40 car was quicker, was kind of committing to that race line, and you'll see the 27 kind of comes down more so than the 40 car went up. And then he went really up and over and over and over a couple of times there for the 27. The 95 of Jason Schilling, I should say, was the innocent bystander. Here was his perspective.
Yeah, check a little bit of the underbody here of this race car. Check and make sure that everything looks good. Yep, all clear. He did his job. Double check. And always make sure that you do your job twice. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, different context, but that reminded me of some classic Phoenix moments. That looked like a little bit of Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer. Different scenario, but same part of the racetrack. We've been talking about some Phoenix history over the course of the night. That reminded me of that one. So our math is real simple now because we are going to go to the final attempt at overtime. Jesse, this is it. We are no longer trying to get to the white flag for it to be official. It's one restart. And if it's anything similar like the last two, Matt Busa just has to replicate another good start one more time. He's been perfect the last two, and he's been perfect by getting ahead of second and letting them fight out amongst themselves. That's the key for him here. I think if he can get that launch, there's a decent chance we don't even get to the white flag, and we're talking about Matt Busa as the big winner here tonight.
One man, one decision, one desire, and that desire is to win the Omega Cup Winter Bowl tonight. $4,000 is going to that first place prize. Who will win it? We'll find out next on Podium Esports.
And there's money for second, third, fourth, fifth. But Kyle, if you get those other money positions, that's more so a tomorrow discussion, right? Yeah, all right, I won some money. That's what you're thinking about tomorrow. In this moment, nobody's sitting second through fifth feels like a winner right now. They are all chasing that top spot.
If I'm telling you, if Vicente does what he's been doing, I don't think he's going to be able to get the run to get up there to pass him. It seems like he's like holding back a bit so he can try to get a run on Busa. Either that or Busa's he's a restart master and he can get off the line super quick. But I think the key to winning this race right now is making sure that they stay door to door coming across that line so they can get good entry into turn one, and then it's every man for himself.
It's going to be tricky, Devin, for Vicente to get that same jump as Casey because inherently that car on the outside of the front row at a disadvantage. Can't beat the leader to the line, and it's harder to see when he fires off.
I think Salas must have pulled every rabbit out of his hat so far, but there might be something there. They have been mauling the rear bumper of that 97 car under caution right now, under green, whatever. But there's one thing on my mind right now, Evan. It's the fact that 6th place and 43rd place get the exact same thing.
$5,000 on the line to the top 5 finishers. We settle it right here, right now from Phoenix. Final attempt at a green-white checker as the 97 car of Matt Busa looks to bring it home. Green flag in the air. It's a great start for Salas, though. Side by side for the lead. Salas a nose in front to turn 1.
Countless restarts, no time tonight. Has the outside runner gonna jump? The 97 leads on Salas, and here comes the inside.
Irwin to the inside. He goes to the race lead. He's
still gonna try.
Salas with the crossover into the 95 car. Side by side of the white flag.
Wow. Oh man, they're neck and neck, 2 wide. This is getting wild.
3 wide behind. That's going to be for 4th. All the marbles up front. Salas low, Kerwin high. Busa watches on. One final drag race down the back straightaway. They're into the
they're wrecking. They're wrecking.
Crash into the fence. And Matt Busa, all of that, goes 3rd to 1st on the final lap and wins at Phoenix.
Wow. What a finish.
And look at them going crazy in Chicago.
It's a party out there.
Party is on, and Matt Busa was so good on the 2 restarts prior to that one. And you talk about pulling the rabbit out of the hat, a miracle of a start for Salas. What a 2 laps for Busa to go from the lead to 3rd and then back to the lead on the final lap.
Wow. Incredible race, incredible finish. I mean, they couldn't have gotten any crazier than that. And all I feel for Vicente, being up there, being up front, trying to control it at the end, being there, basically having it, and then not. I mean, that's racing for you. It happens. feel like they're so close, but at the end of the day, the only person who's going to win is the person who's leading at the very end of that last lap. And that's all Boozer had to do was be leading right there at the very end of that last lap. Incredible finish. Wow, that was exciting to watch.
It's so easy to get target fixation, and when you got a car trying to pass you're focusing on that, and then all of a sudden here comes the 97 out of seemingly nowhere to take the win. That was amazing.
The celebration is on for Matt Busa, who was able to overcome Casey Kerwin. Of course, the all-time winningest driver in this Omega Cup, Vicente Salas, going to be prevented from another win, and Matt Busa is a first-time winner in the ERA Omega Cup. We'll take one last opportunity to step aside. When we come back, we'll take another look at the wild finish and talk with your top finishers. You're watching Podium's coverage of the eRacing Association. We're back live at Phoenix Raceway, and let's wind it back and watch the exciting finish one final time. That at 2 laps to go, where Vicente Salas David got the run that he was not able to get on some of the other restarts. And as him and Busa made contact, Casey Kerwin on the inside took the lead.
And I thought Busa shoving Salas up the track was going to be the race losing move. It turns out Salas digs in deep here in 3 and 4. They get side by side, and the magic is actually coming up down the back straightaway. But I'm still thrilled that we got this 3-wide battle behind them between Castro, Scott, and Pierce. They'll end up in the top 5 because Booz is just waiting for the seas to part here. He sees an opportunity, does not have it, but watch him not come all the way down the track to avoid that. I mean, that's how close it was. He nearly gets the rear bumpers, and from there, there's nothing else. He's already celebrating at turn 3.
Started celebrating, and Malik Ray almost got there too. You talk about how important that 3-wide battle was for 4th on back, because that eventually became the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. All those drivers end up in the money. And let's take a look at your Omega Cup Winter Bowl full race results. Matt Busa, first win of his Omega Cup career. He takes home the checkered flag atop Malik Ray in 2nd and Kwame Scott in 3rd. We'll do our best to get a word with all of those drivers in just a few moments. Andre Castro, big result all the way up to P4 after starting 42nd on the grid. Ahead of Chase Pierce in 5th. Junsa Lim comes home P6. Cody Harris was quiet tonight for 7th. It's Aaron Ramon in 8th. Vicente Salas will settle for a P9 finish in this race ahead of Travis Trevelyan in 10th.
Julio Villalobos Jr. will take home the 11th position. Brad Patton in 12th. Casey Kerwin, he'll have to sell for that 13th place spot. Jake Ballmain in 14th. Darrell Young in 15th. Michael Sturgill will take home P16 with Christopher Heights coming home in 17th. My timing and scoring is a little bit messed up right now, but rounding out the top 20 is Jason Maines. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should read what's on the screen. Larson in 18th, Cusack in 19th, Maines in 20th.
Yeah, the rest of these drivers, a couple laps down. Maines, of course, involved in a secondary incident there. Same with Smith. They'll finish a lap down. Robert McMillan Jr., 2 laps down in 24th. Mike Sturgill, 4 laps down in 25th. From this point on, these cars were not on track by the end of the race. It'll include 26th place finisher Brandon Barrier, Joe Hobbs in 27th, Jason Schilling 28th, Colin Keister 29th, and Keegan Doherty in 30th.
Zach Novak, one of the best cars of the night. He had the fastest on long runs. He'll have to go for 31st. Alec Jones in P32. Cody Smith, 33rd. Sid Waters in the 34th position. 35th to Michael Guest. 36th, Thomas Mazurik. 37th, Colin Bowden. Garrett Conrath in 38th. John Anderson. Tommy Shavers round out the top 40. Julian Martinez Pastor. Paul Begroli, and Dan Herring round out our 43-car field for the ERA Omega Cup Winter Bowl at Phoenix Raceway.
It's a look top to bottom at your ERAgaming.gg full race results. I'll hand things off to Jesse Iwuji, who's trackside with tonight's race winner, Matt Busa.
Mr. Matt Busa, you are the winner for tonight's ERA Omega Cup Series Winter Bowl. You're sitting there at Sim Racing Chicago. How does it feel to be a winner today, getting that $4,000?
Yeah, man, it's insane. I've done these for a while. I've come really close a couple times, but always missed out on the big money, and finally got it here. It's probably the one I least expected to as well. Like you mentioned, I'm here at Sim Racing Chicago, so different rig for me. I don't even have a load cell brake at home. Got a load cell pedals, motion rig, like hitting my head on the side every time I cut the dog leg. So, but, hey, what's up?
That's absolutely incredible. It's to see you out there just battling and just staying clean. At the end of the day, at the end of that race, right? Everybody's wrecking, everyone's getting super aggressive. You were staying patient. You were watching, and to see, okay, hey, when's my turn? Like, when am I going to have this opportunity? You stayed clean. You're able to stay smart, and it paid off. Like, when you saw those two wrecking right in front of you, what was the thoughts going on in your head?
Yeah, I thought I was part of the wreck because all of us hit the wall there. I was on the throttle and actually had low fuel in the car. I thought that would be the way to go, but it was not. I was plowing tight. And after they hit the wall, I thought I was going to get hooked down there with them, and luckily made it to the high side, which kind of upset my tires when I swerved there in the last corner. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I had a big moment there. Malik almost got to me and stole the win, but we managed to hang on, so glad it worked out finally.
It's absolutely incredible. Congrats on getting this win. $4,000 will be coming to you pretty soon. It's pretty awesome. You did a really good job. And yeah, we're looking forward to kind of seeing what happens from here, right? Are you planning on being at the Daytona race? I mean, that's coming up here in a couple months.
Yeah, all the ERA events I'll do next year. So if the Spring Bowl's at Daytona, I'll be there. Otherwise, just want to say thanks to the guys at Sim Racing Chicago for letting me do this. It's just hit midnight actually here, so they stayed a bit late to let me here do the race. And thanks to you guys for hosting this. And thanks for all the work we did at PRI this weekend, Jesse. That was an awesome experience.
It's awesome to have you here, you competing in these tournaments and showing people, how to get it done. And you got it done. You're right there. You did exactly what you need to do to go win this race. And at the end of the day, all you had to do was just lead at the very end, at the last lap. You did that. You win. $4,000 is coming to you.
Thank you, man.
Well, that's your race winner here from Phoenix. Matt Busa adds his name to the list of winners that includes the likes of Retzlaff, Sturgill, Salas, Conrath, Maines, Zelensky, and so many more who have found victory in these big events. Second place tonight goes to Malik Ray, who was almost there at the end. And Kyle, you're trackside with him.
Malik, you almost had it. You were right there, man. You started in the top 5. You worked your way throughout that entire long run that we had. Tell me, what would you have done different right there at the end to be able to clinch that $4,000?
Probably not hit the wall out of turn 2. I just got tunnel vision like super bad. Like I was focused on the three in front of me, and all three of them overdrove, overdrove the corner, and I smacked the wall on exit. And I think if I didn't hit the wall, I think I would have had like a better chance at Matt. I probably wasn't gonna hit him, just because like I don't, like I just don't like having to make like contact with like other people for like like money and whatnot. But other than that, I mean, like I feel like I drove a pretty good race. It just wasn't as good as Matt. So
Well, it's commendable that you consider yourself a clean driver and you don't want to go take people out when it comes to the big money. That's awesome. As far as the full length of the race, that long run that you had in there, like how were you feeling with the car? Were you just biding your time? Were you trying to put yourself in the right position at the end?
um I felt fine with the car. I was just getting held up by it would be Garrett. I was trying to be patient with him because I feel like he would do the same for me. I was pretty patient, maybe a tad bit too patient, but I mean, other than that, it didn't really change anything because after pit road or after we had to pit under yellow, all of us had to come from the back anyway. So it is what
I,
it is.
it's a fine line between being too aggressive and being too patient. I think somewhere in the middle there is the best. And I mean, it's a fraction of a little bit between that first and second right there. So I'd say keep doing what you're doing. Maybe push a little bit more, just a little bit, but not too much. But do you have anybody to thank? Any fans, sponsors?
It'd probably be Sim Seats and Dead Zone and Jim Beaver esports and you guys for broadcasting. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that is Malik Ray, who is your second place finisher here tonight. We'll continue down the road. Devin Henry, who's got the radio chatter now with Kwame Scott.
$250 for Kwame Scott in a third place finish in that chaotic final lap. But Kwame, I mean, this was a race full of chaos. You started towards the front, you finished towards the front, but that doesn't tell the whole story with everything happening in between. What did it take to just maintain that consistency and have yourself in position at the end there? You guys were 3 wide coming to the white flag, and boom, you bring home $250.
Yeah, there was so much chaos happening at the end of that race. It's kind of hard to really comprehend and put it all in a sentence. But I mean, I was full send there. I took 2 tires actually on that green flag pit stop that we had, and the caution came out, and I never was able to go back down. So I'm just glad I was able to hold on with 2 tires right there, and come away with a third. I didn't think I was gonna be able to fend all those guys off.
It works out there, $250, our final race of the year with our ERA Omega Cup. First of all, just guys that you got to thank for having you in this position. And second of all, what it means to be able to race in a series like this and pick up some cash.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done the previous ERA races. I did the last one at Charlotte, and then I did the previous one, or was the last one Martinsville? I did the last 2, and didn't quite get the finishes that I wanted out of those. But this one we were finally able to get a money spot, and it feels pretty good. I mean, this was basically for me. This was basically a preseason Coke race, so it was good to take it to these guys and get $250 by finishing third. I'll take it.
Congratulations! Last spot on the podium gives $250. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you guys. It was a crazy one.
Well, that is a chat with your top 3 finishers, and we'll continue on down because after starting a 42nd on the grid, it is going to be a P4 finish for Andre Castro. And Andre, congratulations on completing the march to the front. You started hot and heavy early. You picked up a lot of spots, and then things got a little bit messy from there. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff happened. I'm trying to remember. It's like that last 50 laps felt like it took forever. I think, it kind of got me off strategy because I had some contact and actually like drifted sideways, but it didn't bring a yellow out. That was during the longest green flag run. So I pitted. I was back to like 12th, and I was like, okay, if this cycle's green, it might be good. But then the caution came out immediately. So I ended up, getting the wave around, but that was when all the other guys, like the front runners, had the black flag issue. So they went to the back. So it's like, okay, I thought there's going to be some chaos here, so maybe we can profit. And then, just made a couple mistakes. Like, I think the last restart, I definitely didn't get it down as well as I could have, but in the end, you know, I think when the sun started to go down, the track picked up grip. I felt like I was just as fast as anybody, but it was hard to pass, obviously, with only like 2 or 3 green flag laps per run there at the end. I think if we had a bit more green flag running, then I think I would have been able to hopefully get even higher up. But yeah, in the end, I was kind of counting on that happening. You know, the chaos at the end. That's my mom, by the way. Say hi. Yeah. So. Yeah, I counted on the chaos happening at the end, and it happened. So that was what I needed.
Well, it was a long, hard-fought night that has gone late into the evening. So we'll let you get out of here. Before we do, though, anybody want to say hi to?
Yeah, just want to say hi. I mean, Jesse and Kyle, obviously, here in the booth. So thanks for putting everything into this. Kevin Johnson, VRA, putting this on. Thanks to all the competitors. You know, had a relatively clean race, so really enjoyed that. And hopefully I'll be back for the next one and maybe go a couple of spots higher. I mean, this is my second time finishing 4th, so next time hopefully on the podium.
A good trend of in the money, but with some room for improvement, Andre. Wish you the best of luck in that one. Thanks as well for letting us chat with you all night long, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. Thank you all, guys.
That's your driver of the race, I'd say. Up 38 positions to get in the money for Andre Castro. And Jesse, we talked about this earlier, but officially the Spring Bowl, as always, will return to Daytona International Speedway as we kick off the 2024 calendar for the ERA Omega Cup. That one on February 19th and 21st. For those who may not have heard us talk about it so far tonight, if someone's watching at home and they want to get involved in this one, how do they do it?
If they want to go to the World Center of Racing virtually, they can come compete in our event. We have it coming up February 19th for the heat races, and then February 21st for the actual main event. And there's going to be $5,000 on the line again, $4,000 to the winner, and then the rest of the top 5 will split up the rest of the $1,000. And if they want to jump in, just go to www.eragaming.gg. Head to our website right there. You can sign up and become a member. Once you're a member, you're automatically entered into every single race that we do as long as you're still a member. So go do that. Head to www.eragaming.gg. And it's going to be a fun and very exciting 2024. We might even have some new wrinkles that we're going to throw in it as far as prizes and opportunities for driving. So become a member as soon as possible because you do not want to miss out. A lot of good stuff is coming. And big thanks to everyone who's been part of this event. It's been incredible being in the broadcast booth here. Everybody's done a really great job. The racing was amazing. Drivers did great. And all the folks who are watching at home who want to compete in this, you know exactly where to go now.
It's become a who's who of some of the top talent on the service, but that doesn't mean that you can only participate in these events if you have a sim racing resume. If you're on the service, sign up, qualify in, and you can find yourself going toe-to-toe with some of the best drivers on the platform for some of the biggest prizes you'll find anywhere in the sim racing landscape. These ERA Omega Cup races, Kyle, have given out now more than $60,000 over the course of these past events, and it's always tough for even the very best to stay disciplined when there's that much money on the line. And in the end, we got treated to a thrilling finish here tonight.
Everyone has the opportunity to win this thing. It doesn't matter what your skill set is. You watched it here. Even the best make mistakes. And if you put yourself in that position to be able to capitalize on it, you can find yourself up front in that money. So sign up, especially when it comes to this Daytona race. And literally everyone has an opportunity. If you can make it into that race on your qualifying lap, I'm telling you, you can start dead last and you can work your way up. I mean, Castro did it in this race. I've seen folks who have zero experience do it as well. All it takes is patience, a little bit of time, a little bit of skill, and you can find yourself in the money.
And Devin, you and I have had the opportunity to call many of these races, and it is such a unique event that I don't know if there's many things on the service that could match the prestige, the stakes that what you see here in this ERA Omega Cup. And as 2023 rounds to a close, we got 4 different race winners. Back in Daytona, it was Michael Guest. Vicente Salas won the Summer Bowl at Charlotte. Brian LaPrade at Martinsville in the Fall Bowl. And Matt Busa here tonight at Phoenix in the Winter Bowl. Looking forward to what the next calendar year brings.
And 13 rounds completed so far in the history of these bowls. And as you all alluded to, the ability to race with the best of the best. And sometimes they don't fill out that entire top 5. They're not the ones taking home all the money. And I always see people chatting on Twitter, chatting on Discord, wherever it might be about, oh, I can't believe that this guy self-spun. I can't believe that this happened. Well, you know what? If you think you can do better, we'll see you in February. Sign up, join in, and show us, don't tell us, show us that you have what it takes to go home with a little bit of money, courtesy of these great races that we have all year round.
Yeah, I'd say if you want her up for the challenge, put your pedal where your mouth is and see if you can come on and take on some of the very best on the service. Until next time, though, that is going to do it for us here tonight from Phoenix. A lot of people to thank behind the scenes for making this possible. That goes to Jesse, to Matt Casto, Kevin Johnson, Sean Yoder at the eRacing Association. Of course, for everybody at iRacing for streaming us on their platforms tonight. For Ryan Bauer, Brandon Davis, Michael Hall in race control. Ryan Bauer, our producer. Of course, Cameron Arbidon running our social media tonight. For Dougie Beard on cameras, and for my colleagues in the booth tonight. For Devin Henry, Jesse Wuji, Kyle Wisner, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's ERA Omega Cup Winter Bowl, and congratulations to Matt Busa for his first Omega Cup win. We'll see you next time in February for the 2024 Spring Bowl at Daytona. That race and every race can be found exclusively here on Podium. Till next time, good night from Phoenix.